in his life. Unusual technique. You have no spinner. Jack Leach has been left out very harshly. And but that notwithstanding, it's the batting really that is letting England down thus far in this series. And that first Test match was testament to it. You know, got themselves in a decent position, 280 for 4 or thereabouts. Bowled out for 355. You think, well, that's a competitive total, but then you watch. No, hold my beer, say New Zealand. 615 for 9 or whatever it was.
Well, Grubster, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
The players coming back out after tea. Knackle's on ball by ball after word from Tony. The next voice after Tony will be that of Knackle on ball by ball.
Well, you've been. I can hear nothing out of these headphones now.
I can hear you, Tone.
Well, you've been listening to Roly Birkin Talks Cricket.
I'm afraid that Tony...
And the next voice you will hear is the man who is putting on his headphones, who's hopefully worked better than mine, is, of course, Knackle Pandey. Grubby, are you staying in to read some tweets, then?
I can do, or I can leave if someone else wants to relieve me.
Looks like you're here, mate.
You're in, and in also is Stuart Broad, and in also is the man who tormented England to the tune of his first ever Test match 100 the other day. Stuart Broad coming in to complete his over, which was interrupted rudely by the wicket of BJ Watling last ball before tea. Mitchell Santana punches this through, and I mean through Ben Stokes at mid-on, who somehow dives over the top of the ball. Santana is off the mark with 2. He is on 2, as I say. Daryl Mitchell is on 63. New Zealand 317 for 6. You're listening to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of England's tour of New Zealand. You join us just after the tea break on day 2 of the second test. England trailing the series 1-0. I'm Knuckle Pandey, taking you through the first half an hour on ball by ball. I've got Paul Grubby Houth to my left, reading your social media messages, and Tony Bishop playing the jingles.
Here I am.
Who is that, by the way, at the James Taylor long short leg position?
It's usually been Dom Sibley.
Yeah, he's a unit, isn't he?
Dom Sibley's a big man. Starting up from the other end, it will be the bearded man, the man who's taken 2 for 57 off his 25 overs so far, the Birmingham boy, starting up proceedings from the City end.
Is that Chris Wokes?
Indeedy.
Marvellous. Let's find him then. Here he is.
Chris Woking on sunshine. Whoa, he recently took 9. Whoa, Chris Wokes in the test side. Whoa, and don't he feel good? And don't he feel good?
In comes Chris Wokes to Daryl Mitchell, who will jingle up just after this delivery. He defends this nicely into the offside. The unit-like Dom Sibley, or owl-like, as Anna Forsyth said in the first session, fields at cover. There is no run. We'll have both batters, I think.
I bet you hold out. You better not drive. You better not sweep. I'm telling you why. Santa's balls are drifting.
Well, the only place that ball is going off the bat of Daryl Mitchell, not Mitchell Santana, is to the mid-wicket boundary. Lovely shot by Mitchell. A little bit overpitched. And flicked away for 4.
3, 4.
Yeah, Chris Wokes going for that magic ball that pitches on middle and swings away to off, but it just kept on going, and then kept off going off the bat of Daryl Mitchell, who's batted very nicely in this his first Test match innings. He and Mitchell Santana put on a big partnership the other week for Northern Districts, with Daryl Mitchell scoring 170 not out and Mitchell Santana scoring 96. As Wokes is in another full delivery on the toes of Daryl Mitchell this time. Slightly better because it was a little bit fuller, but Mitchell is able to dig it out, and it goes to deep mid-wicket. They come through for a single.
All seem rather floaty. Here's Daryl.
I'm not an old black funny, I'm peep show. Wrote that book, oh, Daryl, not David Mitchell.
I'm I'm not going to read out all the messages we have on Crick Tracker, although
Well-
thank you for being there. But I will say that Prince Hadiz Khan says Wawa,
Wah indeed.
which reminds me of George Harrison.
Oh, yes.
A wah pedal.
Well, the song Wawa, which is a great song.
Mitchell Santner on 2 off 1. We have a slip, a gully, a backward point, an extra cover, a mid off, I think a mid on, a mid wicket, and a deep square leg as Santner fresh off his maiden. We've got a short leg in place, or tall leg in the case of Dom Sibley, as Wokes is in, back of a length. Santner plays it comfortably back to the bowler. There is no run. Look, England, New Zealand 322 for 6. I know Mitchell Santner is obviously a player growing in confidence as a batter, but England could still dismiss New Zealand for a sort of middling to competitive score here. It's not out of sight yet for England. Santner, bespectacled, faces up to Chris Wokes, and Santner blocks off the back foot solidly enough. Back to Stuart Broad. There is no run. I heard the tail end of your chat with David Grubby over lunch, and yes, England did show a lack of ruthlessness, I think, on day 2 with the bat. I think Stokes and Pope attacked too early, and then Butler's innings was just weird.
It's T, wasn't it?
Frankly, no, I'm talking about the first test.
Oh, right, sorry.
First test.
Yeah.
But I think they completely let the advantage sit with the ball as well. I mean, you can't. They were just completely not there on day 3, and you just can't do that.
I think it's mainly the batting is the issue.
I'm not sure I agree with that, as this is angles across Mitchell Santner, and he defends this into the offside. Zack Quarry looms in from cover to field. There is no run. 5 runs off the first complete over after tea. New Zealand 322 for 6. Because 350 was, I don't think it was 150 short like someone was saying, but it was probably short. But England just completely let New Zealand take control of the game on day 3. And by the time they sort of stepped it up again on day 4, it was too late.
I think
You can't win test matches unless you're taking 20 wickets.
I think that by the same token that when things are going quite well, it's the batters who tend to get the credit. When things are going quite badly,
Is the bowlers get the blame?
I don't know. I think bowlers should get more of the credit when you win games, and should take equal proportion of the blame when it's not going well.
You can't win a
That
game without
said-
taking 20
that
wickets.
said,
Well, quite,
that
yeah.
said, to me, the issue is the batting and the, although lots of players got starts in that first innings for England.
Broad is in, full delivery. He's bowling almost exclusively Yorkers, bar that one good short ball to dismiss BJ Watling just before the tea break. Mitchell digs this out up to mid-on. They come through for a single. I mean, certainly in home test matches, the batting's been the issue. There's been no issue at all with England's bowling in English conditions, and probably won't be in South Africa given how spicy those pitches have been. But England have conceded 600 3 times in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
away from
and
home.
been bowled out for under 100 for 3 times in that time as well. So
There is a lack of penetration with England's bowling attack away
England
from
would
home.
argue about fine margins as well, wouldn't they? I mean, if you look at, we'll wait for this
As
ball.
Broad is in, the short leg settles. Decent short ball from Stuart Broad. Santner read it early enough and ducks under it. The astigmatic Avenger in his quite nice shades, spectacles.
Bounce.
A little bit.
a little bit. Alice Clark, Herr Commissar, says might as well have 11 over matches with each player bowling 1 over. Seems quite pissed off with the whole thing, if you ask me. Jonah says, hello all.
Hello.
Bit of trolling from my boss. Split screen is coming in handy, being able to watch England struggling while Aussies dominate at the same time.
Broad bowls full and into the pads of Mitchell Santner. It does swing, but it swings more or less into the middle of the bat. There's a slightly wild throw from mid-on from Stokes, who is livid with everything again. Ollie Pope scuttles across to his left to try and field, and Gully has to back up. There is no run. Yes, that day 2 of the Adelaide day-night test is underway. Australia 317 for 1.
Jesus Christ. Jonah goes on to say, and this is very nice, hey Siri, play Guerrilla Cricket, and hey presto, you boys are on. You sound excellent out of my sound pod.
Ta-da!
Love you.
Broad is in a slip in place. Another very full delivery. Slight hint of swing into the right-handed Daryl Mitchell, who clips this up to Sam Curran at mid-on, and there is no run. Not quite sure why we're seeing a replay of that wild throw from Ben Stokes when Daryl Mitchell was basically level. Mitchell Santana rather was basically level with the stumps. Slip and a gully. There's no one at point. I wonder if there's a deep point. There's certainly an orthodox cover mid-on, mid-off and mid-wicket as Broad is in. A short ball which wobbles all over the place. It starts off going down leg and then swerves round Daryl Mitchell, and Ollie Pope ends up taking it sort of behind middle and leg. End result, no run.
He certainly looks a bit surprised by that, didn't he? He wasn't, or bemused by it.
I think that's just his face in repose, isn't it?
Ollie Pope's?
Yeah. He's like Stephen Hendry, the snooker player, a bit like a surprised dog.
Yes.
Syed Ahmad Sadat is with us with a lovely emoji. Someone whose name is in Arabic, I'd just say shukran.
Another full delivery from Stuart Broad, slightly over pitch, ends up as a low full toss. Quick-ish from Stuart Broad, 135 kilometres an hour. Daryl Mitchell punches it down the ground, fielded at mid-on. There is no run. There is a deep point in play, so that was the other fielder that I couldn't see.
But it's one of those ones...
deep cover, kind of.
They tend to be measured quicker when they are full like that, don't they? It's short, it doesn't tend to be measured so quickly.
Well, obviously the ball hasn't pitched yet, so it hasn't lost any pace off the wicket. The speed guns are not as accurate as they could be. Anyway, that's the end of the over. New Zealand 324 for 6.
Why don't they just put a speedometer in the ball, like in a car?
Questions of our age.
I would imagine it would affect the weight and balance of the ball, wouldn't it?
Would it?
I don't know how big a speedometer needs to be.
Isn't it just a
Probably
bit
just
of...
a chip, I would imagine.
Yeah. Ravi's with us.
Hello, Ravi.
Hello.
Long-term listener and friend of the show. I'll read your tweet after this.
In comes Chris Wokes, slipping a gully in a short leg. This one angles across Mitchell Santner, who defends very solidly into the offside, and there is no run.
2 wickets in the first session, says Ravi. 1 in the second. 0 in the third. Remember my prediction last test that the Black Caps were breaking our 2 best bats, Stokes and Butler? This is turning into a great series for New Zealand and a broken one for us, bar sudden heroics.
It wouldn't have been an outlandish prediction to say that New Zealand were favourites going into the series. They're a very settled team and have been superb at home.
Wouldn't knackle, but second favourites at the start of the series. 2-1 you could have got.
Odd.
That was strange odds.
Back of a length, and Santner plays this nicely with a straight bat off the back foot up to Stuart Broad at mid-off. There is no run. Stuart Broad, by the way, has been given an official warning for running on the pitch. His first warning. And you can see from that replay he was running right down the middle of the pitch.
Sometimes appealing.
Oh, it was an absolutely glorious one yesterday. To be fair, it was out. The Ross Taylor
don't get me started on that.
I'm not quite sure what the results until was seeing.
Utterly ludicrous.
But Stuart Broad did a double fist pump before turning around to the umpire. It was great. In comes Chris Wokes, short ball and pulled authoritatively by Mitchell Santner. Did that hit Dom Sibley on the way through? Because all the pace seemed to come off it completely as it rolled towards Ben Stokes.
I think he might have under-edged it a bit.
And then is put back on with a very angry throw from Stokes. They end up coming through for 2.
Pope looks a bit pissed off as well, doesn't he?
Possibly his face in repose.
Yeah.
Ollie Pope has, he is a wicket keeper from a very young age, but hasn't kept much thanks to Ben Stokes. He's kept 5 times in first-class cricket, 2 of them for the England Lions quite recently, so it's not completely foreign to him, but he's no Ben Folkes. Back of a length from Wokes. The camera operator decides to swing the camera to mid-wicket as the ball goes to mid-off. Go figure, there is no run.
I mean, it is ludicrous that I've got no problem, by the way, with Pope being inside, and we can come on to more Pope-related fun later on, I'm sure.
Oh, we've had plenty already.
I know. His middle names are John and Douglas, neither of whom have been Popes.
There's been plenty of Pope Johns.
Yeah, John and John Paul, not Douglas. Anyway, he's not even the best wicketkeeper in his club.
No, he's not. Good delivery from Chris Wokes, angling across Santner, forcing him into a forward defensive, into the offside. Crawley comes in from cover to field, and there is no run. No, he's not. Ben Folkes is probably the best keeper in the country.
And yet not on the tour when you've dropped a wicketkeeper out of the squad. Ludicrous to me. Messy Jazz. Hello, Messers. He says, morning all. Joining you after another glorious victory by the under-10s. As far as speedometers in balls are concerned, there is a company already developing that technology which also measures rotation internally, which will be interesting. Oh, yeah.
The rev
Tell us
counter.
more.
Little hint of swing from Chris Wokes. Another slower ball. I wonder if that was a little sort of knuckleball-y type thing that just wobbled in towards Mitchell Santana. He played it nicely, though, up to mid-off. There is no run. 2 runs off the over. New Zealand 326 for 6.
The person whose job it is to tot up clerical staff in the parish, the Rev Counter.
The Rev Counter, very good. Well, there's one out there.
Or possibly the Reverend Counter.
I'll stick with mine if you don't mind.
The Reverend Green. Oh, it was Cluedo, wasn't it?
Or Al Green.
Yeah.
Not Al Green.
He might have been called Al. We didn't know his first name, I don't think.
We never did.
Well, Al
never
Green
did,
did quit music to become a man of the cloth.
Did he? As did who's the chap from the Communards?
Richard Coles. Reverend Richard
Yeah.
Coles.
Yeah.
As did...
But he seems to have a higher profile now than he ever did as a member of the
communard.
Communard. As a communard. Oh, communard.
Night follows day, and England are complaining about the ball.
Went through one ring and not the other.
Well, he should probably...
There is actually going to be a change to the ball.
man.
For the first time in about 5 years, England have complained about the ball, and the ball's actually going to be changed.
Yeah, it happened earlier. This is the second time.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yeah.
Apart
It's the
from
second
in
time
one
today,
day.
Knuckle.
Oh, really?
Chris Waller.
London buses and all that.
Chris Waller
Yep.
says, will England be fined for not playing their best team?
Somewhere Mick McCarthy is stewing.
Oh,
I shall just
to
make a
me
note
about-
of that in one of the world's shortest books. Times I have proved Knuckle wrong. you go.
Conor McNally says, who do you think should be captain? Maybe it's my Irish bias, but I say Morgan. Although I don't think he can play outside his off stump. Yeah, I mean,
No,
maybe
he can't.
5, 6, 7 years ago he was a,
By his
he was a
own
viable
admission,
option.
By his own admission,
Yeah.
he's not a red ball cricketer anymore. Neither does he want to be.
No pretensions to be, no desire to be. He probably, reading between the lines, would think that of all the competitions to go, it would be the county championship.
Well, Owen Morgan is a white ball fundamentalist, it seems, along with Harry Gurney and a few others.
White ball fundamentalist.
There's a slip and a gully in a slightly odd-looking offside field. The deep point is quite deep. Certainly not in a... or rather, the cover point is quite deep. That's a lovely shot by Daryl Mitchell and a good athletic stop from Ben Stokes, who is certainly fired up in the field after lunch. He runs across from mid-off to in front of mid-on when Sam Curran was perfectly capable of picking that ball up, but Ben Stokes decided to do a shuttle run 10 yards to his right, dive full length, throw back to Pope, and then run back to his position. End result, no run.
You sound surprised that he's fired up.
Well, quite, yeah, slip in the gully. And yeah, the cover point is quite far back in that position. There's a good stagger between him, cover, and mid-off, who's quite far up and quite wide as Broad comes into Daryl Mitchell. A full delivery, driven very nicely, and he's picked the gap beautifully between cover and mid-off. Even the Exocet-powered Ben Stokes can't do anything about that. Mitchell, with that 4-through extra cover, moves to 73.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Daryl Mitchell has looked very organised in this innings. He's driven very well when the ball's been pitched up both through the covers and down the ground, and he's taken advantage of anything on his pads as well.
Is there anything more beautiful,
It's
not
Peggy.
just in cricket, but in life, in general, in nature, in the universe, than a beautifully played cover drive?
Do you know what? I was actually thinking, as I was looking through the various jingles, which jingle represents the most perfect, sumptuous cover drive?
2 men back on the hook, I think. That's a very full delivery from Stuart Broad, who is bowling like it's the latter stages of a one-day international. It dribbles back to him as Mitchell keeps this out from outside off stump.
I
There
feel it
is
should
no
be
run.
Something classical somehow.
Yeah. So our friend Ravi Nair says, in our successful 2010-11 Ashes campaign, we used tall, strong bowlers, apart from Bresnan, who was shorter. He's
And strong.
He's about 6'2" or 3, to be fair. Anyway, is the selection of Sibley and Crawley an attempt to recreate that, except they chose batters by mistake? Shades of Spinal Tap.
I mean, to be fair, Broad is very tall. Archer's tall-ish. Anderson's taller than you think he is. Sort of 6'2", 6'3". As Broad is in, goes wide on the crease. Hook shot from Daryl Mitchell. Has he hold out? He has hold out. Jofra Archer swallows it. Goes down into the long barrier position. Takes the catch. Stuart Broad's bouncer Yorker tactic has worked. New Zealand 330 for 7. went wider on the crease, bowled a good short ball which got onto Daryl Mitchell a little bit quicker than he was expecting. He was not in control of the shot. The plan has worked for Stuart Broad. He's bowled pretty well on a relatively unresponsive pitch, and that hits his 4th wicket. 4 for 68 for Stuart Broad. New Zealand 337.
Second time today?
Yeah, indeed.
Second time today.
You've got Henry Nichols, he's got Daryl Mitchell. The good innings on debut for Daryl Mitchell. 73 of 159, 8 fours and 1 6.
He's batted well, but that is a poor way to get out. New Zealand right on top there. England clueless. You know, really clueless about how to get the next wicket. And, all right, Stuart Broad's tried a lot of things there, and he's got his reward, but that is not mature, canny batting. You're right on top, stay on top, like you did in the last game. I think that's poor from Mitchell.
Yeah, a little bit of highest level inexperience, perhaps showing the ruthlessness that Watling and Santana showed at Mount Maunganui. Not quite in evidence there from Daryl Mitchell. You're right to an extent. Broad wasn't going to be able to keep going with that plan for that long, and it's not as though they weren't scoring quickly enough to avoid the hook.
It's an obvious plan.
Oh yeah, and he, like Nichols, has galumped straight into it.
Yeah. As an England fan, if I'm watching England do that, I'm thinking, no, that is brainless batting. It's immature, and I'm afraid New Zealand, even at 330 for 7, which sounds like a decent score, we've seen the previous game is not necessarily.
Yeah, I think this pitch has got a bit more to it than that Mount Maunganui track, but it remains to be seen. We don't know how competitive this is going to be.
No, of course not.
And this is a man who can add to it. Went past Ricky Ponting in terms of Test match sixes with the 1-6 he hit at Mount Maunganui. The leading 6 hitter currently active in Test cricket.
That is tremendous.
He's so pretty, that Tim Southey. He's so pretty and witty and bright, but Tim Southey's not as pretty as Kane Williamson.
Tim Southey, who has been recently captaining the T20 teams, got his 4th at Mount Maunganui in the first innings. I never think actually bowled that well, to be honest, but exploited what swing there was, and some rather injudicious strokes from certain of England's batters. Just a slip in a gully in for Tim Southey. 3 men up in the offside. A very full delivery, end up as a full toss outside off stump, and Southey just blocks it up to Ben Stokes at mid-off. There is no run. Daryl Mitchell knew immediately as he played the shot that he hadn't got it.
He's almost Tim Southey. He's almost New Zealand's answer to Stuart Broad with a bat, in the sense that
he's got such a good eye.
You always remember his 50 on debut against England.
As Broad is in, edged by Tim Southey. He was backing away to leg, really, and just had a poke at it, and it squirts past first slip. Not a catching chance. It bounced well short of Joe Root, but it goes for 4. Interesting over for Stuart Broad. 8 runs off it, but the wicket.
1, 2, 3, 4.
New Zealand moved to 334 for 7.
And although Southey looks relatively organised at the crease, he's never quite kicked on. He's never. You thought back then. You thought, oh God, he's a real all-rounder to take over from Chris Cairns.
He took a 5 and 70 and scored 77 on debut. But that is still his highest. Test match score. He averages 18 with the bat.
It must
Tim
be
Southey.
frustrating if you're him or a supporter of him or supporting New Zealand, that he really should be better than that, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
And the fact he's coming in at 9.
Yeah, I mean,
he's probably not that good.
He's a tail ender with a good eye.
Throwing a few shapes there, Jofra Archer.
Warming up or just having a dance?
No, I think he generally was just having a dance. It was a strange warm-up routine if it was a warm-up.
As in comes Chris Wokes to Mitchell Santner, who has an interesting job to do shepherding the tail. That's a good short ball from Chris Wokes. You don't hear that very often. He's not normally someone who digs the ball in, but that one did jump on Santner. He played it well, actually. Dropped the bottom hand off the bat and made sure that the ball in turn dropped in front of him. That is very well played by Mitchell Santner.
It was
extremely well organised.
Very well played, but an extension of what Chris Wokes does, which is line and length. He just dug it in a little bit short. Dead straight. Well played by Santner.
So 4 wickets for Broad, who's bowled superbly again. None for Archer. Should we be worried on Archer's behalf?
Every time. Short ball. Santana's had a flap at this. Where has that gone? It's landed short of Sam Curran, who had to come in quite a long way off the long leg boundary. It bounced a good distance short of him. That was not well played by Mitchell Santana. A real horrible flat-footed flap at this from in front of his face, right off the toe end of the bat. And Sam Curran just couldn't get in quickly enough. They come through for a single. But again, that smiles Riley.
Yeah, that is testament to the directness, the straightness of that short ball from Wokes. It was almost too difficult to pull out of the shot there.
Yeah, it ended up more on off stump than Santana was expecting. Look, I think.
By the way, we'll come back to Archer in a sec, shall we?
Yeah, I think so. 2 steps on the gully now for Tim Southey. He's played that very nicely indeed. A little bit short, a little bit wide, and Southey just waits for it and guides it beautifully past backward point for 4. As far as Archer goes, I think Archer's actually bowled pretty well in this Test match. I think he's bowled pretty wicket to wicket. He's bowled the odd, genuinely quick testing short ball. The knuckle ball that he so nearly had Daryl Mitchell with was a real beauty, that LBW shout, and he's been a little bit unlucky, I think. That's my take on it, at least. I'll come to Grubby in a second as Wokes in full outside off stump and Southey blocks from the crease into the covers. There is no run.
But if I can just say something on Chris Wokes, I just fear for him that he's just lost that half yard of pace. He got injured a couple of years ago, didn't he? He was out the team for a long time, came back, and I thought then he needs to find that extra pace, and he did. Fair play to him, he did. And now he can look just a little bit pedestrian at this level.
I think this is the best I've seen him bowl outside of England in this Test match. He does seem to be in good rhythm. That's a terrible delivery, having said that, outside off stump. Absolute rank long hop and very wide, and it barely gets to Tim Southey, who ends up toe-ending it over mid-off. Stokes hurtles the throw in straight over the top of the stumps to Ollie Pope. They come through for 2. So New Zealand are scoring pretty quickly.
Well, they would if you
after
serve up balls like that.
Yeah, that was an attempted knuckle ball, I think, from Chris Wokes. He's bowled a few of those and got them right, but that one slipped out rather.
But I think this might be, I don't know, just to support my theory, because I think he knows he doesn't have that extra pace, so he's got to try these variations.
He was trying them very early with the second new ball.
He bowled a beauty to Williamson. That
was a lovely delivery. Yeah, that's stylishly played, unorthodoxly played, but stylishly played by Tim Southey. A little flick into the leg side as Wokes does pitch this up. They come through for the single. 8 runs off that over from Chris Wokes. New Zealand rocketing along now to 342 for 7. England have just got to be a little bit careful here.
Yep. Chris Waller is criticising me, I think, for please stop saying Maunganui. I think it's Maunganui.
Maunganui.
Yeah.
Maunganui.
Yeah. You don't really. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. My Kiwi, my Maori pronunciation is not that great. There we are. We try at least, Chris, and I hope you're appreciative of our trying. Colin McNally says Southey is a smasher and no shame in it. Yeah, we all love the big tooth one. Messi Jez says this is information about the smart cricket ball, which is being developed in conjunction with the Bears' favourite ball maker, Kookaburra. I'll retweet that for all of our listeners to look at your leisure.
It'd be funny if they put that thing in it and it suddenly starts swinging like crazy.
or it's coming down looking going, could someone get me a fucking beer?
Yeah.
Broad in, good full delivery. Southey again backing away to leg, but plays that nicely enough, bringing the bat down straight through the line of the ball up to Sam Curran at mid-on. There is no run.
Jonah says Lobo Champagne has just got to 150. Not bad for a Smith injury replacement. Oh, has he? Oh, good. Yeah, he's doing all right, isn't he?
Labuschagne is a hell of a player.
This calendar year, he's doing very well indeed.
Our friend Lou's bus change, yeah, he was going magnificently.
Look how deep. Is that Southey's back in his crease?
He is, yeah. And to Stuart Broad, who is quick-ish, but not that quick. He's batting with both feet almost inside the crease. He fends this off in front of his face into the leg side. There is no run. I think he's sort of trying to go very deep in the crease and set that base to hit down the ground, perhaps.
It's a one-day tactic, isn't it? But frequently you see people batting on the crease, just outside the crease, and taking a step back into their crease to set that base. Whereas he, at the moment, Southey is just standing there, feet almost together behind the line of the crease.
Short ball from Stuart Broad, trying to keep Southey honest. It's a poor one down the leg side, and Ollie Pope flings it disgustedly to Joe Denley at mid-wicket. There is no run.
Tomo Pollitt says, could New Zealand be playing some looser shots because they want to get a go at England tonight?
I can't see the
No, I doubt it, but, you know.
1-0 up in the series. I don't think they're going to declare.
What did we lose? We lost a session, just over a session in terms of time.
We lost
didn't
almost exactly a session yesterday. There were 3 balls possible at the evening session yesterday. There are a few grey clouds, but nowhere near as dank and dark as they were yesterday when the rain bucketed down. 4th ball of the over. Southey was desperately trying to get out of the way of that from Broad, but it followed him, and as he's backing away to leg, he ends up flailing it from in front of his midriff into the leg side. They come through for a single. Southey
Apparently,
grateful to get off strike.
according to our new friend Donica Hart, beautiful timing. Black Caps fan repeatedly calling out Jofra Archer name as he fields at third man, getting a bit boring, repetitive. But then Mitchell hooks one to deep, and Archer catches it. Perfect response. Whatever the case, great support for Archer there.
Do you have any YouTube comments, by the way, Grubby? Because that was heavy. There was heavy traffic on YouTube.
Was there
earlier.
really?
There
Was there really?
Just
Well,
letting you know.
I'll have a look.
Broad is going to go round the wicket to Mitchell Santana. Of course, he loves operating from round the wicket to the left hand. This is very good at it. We've got a slip and a gully and a short leg. Backward point cover, mid off, mid on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And probably 2 men back on the hook at long leg and deep square leg as Broad is in. A big LBW appeal. I'm not sure about that, to be honest. It was a little bit high, and it might also have been seaming away and missing off stump from Stuart Broad. Broad, of course, cannot believe it, but you cannot trust anything Broad's face says. There is no run and there is no wicket.
To be fair, he has got better over the years. He doesn't just send it upstairs for everything.
Well, England don't have a review left
And I
anyway.
think
and he's smashed the cover off
He's
it.
hit the cover off it as well. Anyway,
So that review didn't have a lot going. Actually, to be fair, it might have done it. It missed the inside edge, but there was a pretty big inside edge.
it looked high anyway, but it's all academic.
Well done, Paul Wilson. What did he play? 1 test for Australia? Did
One
he, Paul
one
Wilson?
test, not out in both innings.
Yeah, not out in both
Blocker
innings.
Wilson.
Blocker Wilson,
and didn't
indeed.
take any wickets either. So it makes you wonder why he only played the 1.
Friend of mine, Paul Wilson.
Back of a length from Broad, angling into Santana, who plays this up to the perennially angry Ben Stokes at mid-on. There is no run. 1 run off the over. New Zealand 343 for 7.
We should probably change at the end of this over as well, I think, shouldn't we? If my timings are right.
They're rarely wrong, Big Tone.
Yeah, it is 3:30 a.m. UK time. So we should be having a change pretty much now, in fact.
Who's coming in? I know I'm moving into where you are, Knuckle. I don't know what's going on.
I think
around
Grubby
the
and
front.
I are leaving to bring in some of the rest of the cast of thousands in the green room.
Yeah, we do seem to be.
It's
It
party
is
night.
party night. It's
Party
been great
night
fun.
here at Gorilla Towers. We've loved it.
I do have those YouTube comments, by the way.
Good.
Dan DeCastro says, unlikely Canadian huge cricket fans still here. We have lots of fans in Canada, Dan. You are not alone. He says, Grubby's my favourite online persona, apologising for the schmaltz. And he also says, we'll come to that after this ball from Chris Wokes as the sunshine bursts through the crowds. Southey tries to flat back Chris Wokes back over his head for 6, and I think he might have done it, It's a proper strapple right off the toe end of the bat, almost a baseball shot over centre field, and I think that might have hit the sponge on the full. It was a dug-in short ball from Chris Wokes. Southey, I'm not quite sure where he was aiming that. Not sure it was back over the bowler's head, but I don't think he'll care that much.
I think it made just about. My instinct is it just bounced slightly short.
David Brooke is hovering.
David Brooke.
I think that's hit the sponge on the full.
I agree.
It may have done.
I agree.
The other quote from Dan DeCastro. I reckon New Zealand are clearly still on top. We haven't seen anything back yet. 350 could be good. And 2, and especially this, New Zealand are solid number 2 of all test sides for good reasons. Consistency, deep batting, and there aren't any free wickets. It's 4. 4. I'm not quite sure how you get to that off that evidence. Just the 4 for Tim Southey. He moves to 16 off 11. Wasn't really in control of that shot, though. What'll Wokes do with this one? He bowls a slower ball outside of something. That's nicely punched into the offside by Tim Southey. Stokes a little bit deeper at mid-off. Basically has been treating this entire session as a distance throwing practice / trying to break Ollie Pope's hands. They come through for a single. I suppose it was a fair enough shot, actually, with mid-on up, rather. He didn't have to get a great deal on it.
It's a local lad, isn't he? Santana, he's born in Hamilton.
Yes,
So he's
as
very much on home
as
turf.
was Daryl Mitchell. As a lot of this team play for Northern Districts, which is the province of or the provincial region of where Hamilton is based. Mitchell Santana got 96 on this ground. Not on this ground, I'm sorry, for Northern Districts in partnership with Daryl Mitchell just a few weeks ago. Santana facing up to Chris Wokes. Santana bringing some calm to proceedings, just blocks this pleasantly up to Broad at mid-off. There is no run.
Yeah,
Very unflustered cricketer, Mitchell Santana.
yeah, and a very worthwhile one at that as well.
was a spinner.
3, 4, 8 for 7. You'd have to. I would say that New Zealand are well on top.
In comes Wokes, fourth ball of the over. The short leg still in place. A decent bouncer, but Santana saw it coming all the way and ducked under it. Through to the keeper. There is no run. We will have a change at the end of the over. David Brooke is hovering. Can't see who else is hovering behind him. We have John Harwood, who is looming.
Ooh.
And possibly somebody. Oh no, you're staying on. You're coming into ball by ball, of course.
Sliding across. Segueing into the central missionary position.
And I'll be going for a wee.
And hopefully leaving your seat first.
It's you updated on all of our movements, so to speak. Short ball, and Santana again sees this coming and lets it go over his head through to the keeper. There is no run. That's the 2 short balls for the over, as signalled by umpire Kumardhan Masena. So wherever this one goes, it won't be short. Or it shouldn't be, at least, if Chris Wokes is paying attention. Santana on 6 off 19. So Southey on 17 off 12. We've got the slip, we've got the short leg, we've got the gully, we've got the backward point, cover mid off, mid on, and 2 men back on the hook. Wokes turns at the end of his mark and comes in from the city end. And he's in, goes wider on the crease, and a good short ball again, nicely played by Santana. Just drops the bottom glove off the bat and makes sure that it goes down. 5 runs off that over. New Zealand 348 for 7.
Here's a small message while we change commentators. Or should be.
Well, don't worry about that. I can do some tweets if you like. Tom,
Yeah,
not
go for it.
quite sure whether we've got to Don at Hart, who said, beautiful timing. Black Caps plan repeatedly calling out Jofra Archer's name as he fields at third man. It's getting a bit boring and repetitive. Well, I think we may have already covered that. So let us know. Tweet us wherever you are in the world. Let us know where you are. Give us a tweet at Gorilla Cricket, and it'd be a pleasure to hear from you wherever you might be. So seamlessly, Knackle has passed the baton on to Tony at 348 for 7, and Harwood is coming into the Jingles chair. So send us your tweets wherever you are in the world. Just let us know where you are. You haven't got to say anything. Just tell us where you are. We have such an international diaspora.
We have indeed. Well, not just tweets. Remember, we also have
Sydenham!
YouTube and
yes.
and Crick Tracker.
Oh yes,
That was my tweet.
That was your tweet, Sydenham.
I
Where
did-
you are.
I did it vocally.
More specifically, directly to the right of me, John. So welcome.
Thanks.
did we hear from Tom, Tony, about saying could New Zealand be playing some looser shots because they want to get a go at England
We
tonight?
did. Yeah, we did. I think
Yeah, it's
you're
good,
heading in the wrong direction
But
there,
very
David.
apposite comment.
It was.
You don't think it bears
an apposite
repetition,
comment.
Tony?
No. Oh, a bit.
You don't think Tom's tweets are worthy
No,
of
I think
repetition?
Tom's Archer's in. And Southey rocks backwards. And the Pontiff gathers, not particularly cleanly actually in that occasion. No, Archer's looking rather fed up. He's got the stance of the double teapot. And I'm not entirely sure what's upset him. Oh, unless it was rather up and down. Has he been called for the bouncer? I think he has. In which case I feel sorry for him, because I mean, it didn't look that bad. Maybe he was warned. We didn't see, I have to say, the umpire signal anyway. He's
Needs a wicket, doesn't
I
he?
can't figure out the
bowling. He is from the city end. And this is flicked nicely off his legs, but straight to mid-on. The members' end, I beg your pardon.
I mean, he needs a wicket, Tony, and I think you'll see improvement in his body language as soon as he gets one. But it's just that feeling when you bowled 26th over and you haven't taken a wicket, pressure mounts up, doesn't it?
Well, it's carrying the weight of being the gun bowler. He
His
has
figures,
one
I
slip
think.
in place. There is a gully. There's also a cover mid-off, an extra cover. There is a man back. There's definitely a man down on the fence at deep backward square for the pull. He's not going to be needed here because Southey has just steered it to point, and they really had to scurry through. they've managed it, but it was a bit of a dive that had to be put in there by Santana.
If I'm
Saudi,
right,
I think, is coming to apologise. Sorry, John.
if I'm right, his offer Archer's figures in the first test were 1 for 107.
Yeah,
And he's now 1 for 165.
Well, David, you're a follower of the man's career, but how much has he experience does he have of the kookaburra?
Well, very little. I mean,
this is
I don't think they use it in
What are they using the Big Bash?
in the Caribbean. But well, I mean, you're only bowling
Well,
4
it's
over
a
spells.
different ball, isn't
And
it?
it's a
Oh,
white
yeah,
ball.
it's a
It's
white
a
I mean,
very different set.
you're only bowling 4 over spells. In terms of his first class experience, obviously most of that would be playing for Sussex, not with the kookaburra, and usually at Hove, where there's quite a bit of assistance for the seam bowlers. Think back to John Snow's days and all the rest of it. So this will be a new challenge for him.
In comes Archer. Ooh, and that one, well, it took the edge. Second slip would have snaffled it. Unfortunately, there wasn't one, and it has gone for 4 runs.
Yes, all the way down to the boundary, Tony.
Indeed. It was a legitimate edge as well, wasn't it? I think. Let's have a look. Yep, he didn't really get on top of that at all. Actually, it wasn't. So it probably would have been 4th slip.
I mean, it's the
And
right. Yeah,
It was uppish. It would have been gone straight down the throat of 3rd or 4th slip.
I mean, it has to be the right approach.
And he's coming around the wicket, and that one, ooh, spat. And I'm afraid Ollie Pope was going to get nowhere near that. And not for the first time today. He's clutching at air as it sailed over his dive,
But you not
or
think?
his leap.
Yeah, I mean,
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary, crossing a boundary.
but did you not think that Ollie Pope could have got that if he timed his dive better or not? Was it always a losing cause?
No, I think he'd have had to have spring heels and be another foot taller. Archer around the wicket. To the left hand is Santana, and again this one spits up and rears at Santana, and again he fences at it rather in a proddy sort of way, and it's through to Pope. And of course there's no run.
Well, it has to be the right approach, Tony, because if you look at the way Santana was allowed to get established in the last Test match, when he first came out to bat, he was in a lot of trouble from short ball stuff from Stokes.
Yep.
But sort of inextricably, Joe Root then turned to Jack Leach and himself, I think it was, and let Santana play himself in. But he was clearly in a lot of trouble against the short pitch, faster stuff early in his innings. So this has to be the right approach. And he's almost been out already hooking against Wokes.
Well,
got to
yeah.
get Santana early.
Well, Santana, yeah, of course he got himself well and truly in batting with BJ Watling at Mount Maunganui.
He was hopping around in the early
He
stages
was.
of that innings and not looking comfortable at all. That's why I couldn't understand why Archer didn't have a go at him in that Test match.
Obviously his highest Test score was in the previous Test. Prior to that, 73. He'd made against Bangladesh at the Basin Reserve in 2017, I think. In comes Wokes. That takes the edge. That's through to Pope. Pope has snaffled it. Calm and confident as you like. England have a wicket. Southey's gone. Well bowled, Chris Wokes. Yeah, again, just... Oh, hello. No, he's all right. He's on the line. It was deceptive, but just that little bit short of a length, was it? Yeah, and it really did rear up, didn't it? There seems to be a little bit of spit and fire that they were lacking earlier. Maybe it's just the sense of urgency. Maybe it's the fact that they've got that wicket, and now they've got another wicket. So Ravi's predictions of just the one have proven, thank goodness, from England's perspective, to be unfounded. He reckoned they got to what, 2-1 and then 0 is what he'd said.
Well, we've just heard
from
Ravi, who's responded to my request to tell us where he is or where people are listening to us from. He's saying, "Hi guys, where am I? In a state of resignation. We're doomed." Well, Ravi, you may be unduly pessimistic there. That was before that wicket fell.
What country is a state of resignation in?
Yeah. Chris Waller is more straightforward. He tells us he's in Abu Dhabi. Artif, hello. Artif's listening to us. Artif, I'm your greatest fan. Love your new show.
Hello,
Love your
hello,
pilot. When are we going to see the full series? Never laughed so much. Have you seen Artif's new BBC series?
I have, yes.
Absolutely hilarious. It really was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Atif, nice to hear from you. He said, you're talking about the Bears' position? It really is Gorilla After Dark. Can you imagine that, Gorilla After Dark? The Bears' position. No, Atif, your new series, so fun. I think it's still available.
Matt Henry, anyway,
to
is the
look
new man.
at on the iTunes.
And Matt Henry's going to be
BBC iPlayer.
facing Chris Wokes, whose right arm over in. Ooh, and that one kept low, and Henry had to really drop the bat down on it. He actually pushes it away to mid-wicket and will get himself a single. But
I'm a jingle the man.
Yeah, you need to.
You can never trust a man with two first names, Matt Henry.
Yeah, he really did have to jab down on that in a hurry, did Henry. So perhaps a hint of variable bounce. He's got a suitable smile on his face anyway. Because one had spat and took the edge of Southey's bat, and the next one kept pretty low. In comes Wokes again.
Now.
I wouldn't say it's quite there. That one taken above head height as it had gone over the shoulder of Santana. Again, competently done by Ollie Pope.
Wait till we're batting.
Well, yeah, some of the more fatalistic amongst us in the green room were saying, well, wait until England bat. It could well make the pitch look like a viper's nest. But they're fighting back. 358. We felt 300 was probably about par, but they're in the game. That one kept low, although it was. Did he run his fingers across that? More of a cutter by Wokes. I'm trying to see how he delivers that. Yeah, I think he did. Oh no, we're looking at the wrong. We're looking at the prior ball. Well taken though by Ollie Pope. Yeah, took the glove on its way through, didn't it, for Tim Southey, who had his hand off the bat, and distinct lack of control, and it did for him. Wokes turns at the top of his mark. He's got his tail up now. He's got that wicket. That's his third one of the day, and that one's short. Oh, and I'm afraid he's got away with it. Ollie Pope parried that, and I had a horrible feeling that was going to carry on its journey towards the boundary, but it did actually drop literally just behind him. So it wasn't pretty, but it won't go against him as a bye, and he'll be thankful for that, I suspect.
Misdirected though, wasn't it? I mean, you got to be looking to hit, bowl it a straight bounce rather than right down the leg side as that one.
Now, that 3 wickets for Wokes so far. Remember,
there's some debate about who should be betting on who's the leading wicket taker.
Oh yes, there is indeed. Oh, and that one is pulled by Santana through mid-wicket, and they will take a single. So Matt Henry is back on to strike.
3 for 78 Wokes, Tony, but this is about to complete his 30th over.
Well, let me see. Roots had 1. Broad has had. How many? Broad's had 4. Wokes has had 3 so far. Wasn't it 7-1 odds? I think for Chris Wokes.
It's a 2-horse race.
Leading wicket taker. It is now a 2-horse race. 7-1 was the odds you could have had on Betway if you'd gone to betway.com/GC Radio. And we said this morning that's a pretty decent bet. I think it's still a reasonable bet, although Broad's got his nose in front, John, hasn't he? So
he has.
His odds will be shorter now. Archer around the wicket, and Santana, particularly prettily, just gets a bat behind that, and it's away to cover, and there's no run.
Well, Joffre's never going to have a better opportunity to get his get his name on the on that score sheet now on the wickets column.
No,
Santana doesn't like it.
Well, really,
like
just the one wicket this series, isn't it, for Archer?
Yep.
And that of it was BJ Watling, of course. This one's pulled backward of square leg, and it may have gone all the way for 6. It has. Paul Wilson raises both arms, and gosh, that flew.
Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6.
When it's not going for you, it doesn't go for you, and that was Joffre's short ball, but it was just it just sat up there by for Santana, and he played that really sweetly timed.
I'll tell you the best thing about that hotspot thing was how cool his glasses looked.
You read my mind. You read my mind.
He looked like Stevie Wonder.
He did look fantastic, didn't it? Anyway, Archer none for 69. Poor old Joffrey's right arm around the wicket. And Santana solidly there. In behind that, push back to the bowler, and there's no run. Yeah, he hit that on the up. He really didn't seem to put much effort into it, did he? He just sort of helped it around the corner almost.
That's a classic
and
limited.
It flew.
Classic limited batsman shot because he was all tucked up. He didn't have the time, but he just managed to paddle it round the corner.
Well, I think a bloke who's just made a ton might object to being limited batsman. He's done the same thing again, and would you believe it? Unless we're watching a replay, which we're not, it's exactly the same result. Oh dear, Joffrey. Oh dear. So 2 sixes off this Archer over. 371 for 8 New Zealand. They are putting the pedal to the metal now, as you probably would expect the lower order to do. Although I think, to call Santana these days after the man who's just made a test ton.
What I meant was that he was obviously cramped. He was playing it. His hands were in his guts, and he was the ball was barely under his eyes. He wasn't playing in front of his body, was he?
I mean, Joffrey can't believe it.
It's a short boundary.
He's looking like he just doesn't understand what's going on there. But as you say, Santa's got the gift of timing, and he's helped himself to 2 sixes in this over. So he's winning this little duel, and it's a real. This is turning into a real stiff examination for Joffrey Archer this series.
And the ball bounced actually.
It hit the ball boy on the head.
I don't think did it hit him on the
head?
It did. I hope he's all right.
Yeah, Santana ducked.
You should have been watching the game.
Bro, I'm all right, bro. Don't worry about it, eh? Oh, sweet as. Primo.
Well, he's Welsh apparently, this ball boy, which is
I don't think he's a ball boy.
A bit unexpected, but there he is.
Isn't he on security rather than?
He's got a red badge on and a very tall hat. Archer over the wicket this time, slightly shorter, and Santana's able to duck out of the way. Well, the poor old security man.
Has he been taken away for a concussion test?
Mop of curly hair and his tall.
I mean, if it was me. Or you?
Well, any of us. I think he didn't seem to flinch, did he?
Well, he's got an enormous amount of hair.
Well, he has. Maybe that's what protected him. Yeah. Anyway, it's a dot ball that time for Archer.
It looked like the guy from Mungo Jerry.
It is. Who I met a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, probably 3 months ago now. And that was away into the offside, into the covers, and there is no run.
I'm just speechless by your at that. Surely that calls for an anecdote. How did
it's
you
not really an anecdote. No,
Tony, how did you meet the lead singer of Mungo Jerry a couple of weeks
have
ago?
As much
Was
hair?
it shopping in Sainsbury's?
Do you know? All right, if you really want to know, do you remember a band called the Nashville Teens who did Tobacco Road?
Nope.
You don't remember Tobacco Road?
Nope.
No, you're just being difficult. You do, but you're just making my anecdote difficult.
Harvard.
Tobacco Road. I'll Google it.
Carry on.
Okay. Anyway, my youngest's girlfriend's.
How many have you got?
My youngest girlfriend's. My youngest son's girlfriend is from somewhat of a musical family. He was in the Nashville Teens, and then he knows all the guys from bands of a similar type of era, of which Mungo Jerry were one. And every year they do like a family concert in a local pub in Weybridge.
In the summertime?
Yes, in the summertime, David. Amazing. Wokes is in to save me from
shot.
And what a beautiful off drive that was by Matt Henry for runs.
Yeah, hang on.
Anyway, that's why hence Mungo Jerry.
That's one of the shots of the day. That
it
from,
was,
Henry's.
wasn't it?
No slouch with the bat. No. Whatever happened to the days when tail enders were tail enders? This guy's averaging over 20 in first class cricket.
He's got a high score of 66 in Test cricket.
So is it my fault the computer is frozen?
It's temperamental in the extreme. You might need technical support. This one's short by Wokes, who had overpitched that, and hence the drive. This one was he's definitely not going to let that happen twice in a row.
Oh, hello.
Oh my word. Good lord.
Any insomniacs out there that should have
anyone who might have been nodding off, then that should have put a stop to that immediately. Wokes has turned on his run, and he's in, and he's past Damasceno, and Henry, who had just hit that gorgeous off drive, stepped back, dangled the bat at that, and it was a completely ugly shot. Again, did it keep a tad low, David? Yeah, it did,
little
didn't
bit,
it?
yeah,
a little
but,
bit, and he had a little fence.
Just shows you
The
that.
Bear, just before you go, Bear, who's waving his paw and saying goodbye, but we may have the jingle machine might be playing up.
It's caught up again now.
Oh, it's caught up. You're fine.
It's fine.
We will see you
Cheers,
anon.
Bear.
See you anon as in comes Wokes to Matt Henry, who drives again, beats cover, but doesn't beat Ben Stokes, who moves across from mid-off and presents a run 375 for 8.
I found Tobacco Road on the internet, but unfortunately I can't get to it because there's an advert in the way.
Oh, which we don't need to play.
No.
I was born in a track, and it goes all the way down Tobacco Road. Wokes in, and played down to his feet by Henry, who then, almost as an afterthought, had a quick look round, and it could very easily have just bobbled into his stumps. As it was, no damage was done as far as he's concerned.
The lyrics are actually, I was born in a bunk.
In a bunk?
In a bunk.
Okay, well anyway, I
Mama
suspect
died and Daddy got drunk.
Yes. Or as Jeremy Coney would go, yes.
Yes.
However, I reckon when you hear it, you will go, oh yeah, I do know that song.
Okay.
In comes Wokes. That's short and easy enough for Henry to duck underneath. Wokes takes that above his shoulders and there's no run. How are we doing for messages, David?
We've got a few actually. A few interesting ones. Takashi Hara is talking about the bear, Ari the bear whining about the Kookaburra ball. If we took up the Duke ball, could customs expect a large amount of mints imported next Ashes series? I like where you're coming from there. Stella Rossa says that Southie, who's now of course departed, bats like Broad should bat. Looking at 380 here. Well, they're only on 375 now. It's taking me time to read this tweet. Ian Shaw and Jeff Perkins, thanks to you both for pointing out that Labuschagne, or as Ian calls him, loose bouche change, has just been bowled out for 162, bringing Smith to the wicket. Thank you, Jeff. The Stella Rossa, I recant that last tweet. Lee Booth is listening in from Nepal after a 10-day coaching project here with Connect Clubs. This will be interesting to you, Tony. Over 2,000 girls playing cricket, many for the first time. Plenty of quality spinners around to poach if England ever need one again. That's good to hear. And the Stella Rossa is saying that listening in from Cincinnati in Ohio.
Arch is in around the wicket and full, and Santana pushes it to Ben Stokes again, who is stationed at mid-off, and there's no run.
I was thinking about that last over from Wokes, Tony, and the only ball that seemed to have Henry in trouble was the one that pitched on a good length. My question to you is, do you think there's enough balls that actually pitching on a good length at the moment?
They've certainly been working that leg trap, and it's worked for them twice. Archer has defaulted, as he has there, to the ball just short of a length. I think Wokes has used the fuller ball more often. Archer perhaps less often, and there again he's looking to rough up the left-hander, wasn't he?
Well, Wokes has either been over pitching or bowling short. He's only put one in that sort of
well, he got
area.
that one magical ball that dismissed Kane Williamson, and then he had the one caught down at deep square, didn't he, if I'm right? I'm trying to remember and the third wicket of course was just now, wasn't it? As Archer, he's none for 75, his right arm around the wicket, and Santana just leans forward, and it's trundling its way to the floppy-hatted Stuart Broad, and a poor chap who he's got his phone out now. He's either probably getting in touch with his doctor, his wife, or his mum. It's hard to tell, could be any of those.
They could be
just to let her know he's got a big old clunk on the head. Don't be scared when he comes in. That was swung at short again, and Santana was trying to leather that over deep square again. Oh, the poor lady. We've just seen the replay. That ball was through to Pope, by the way. That replay, as an after effect, I suspect he doesn't know how badly he's hurt, because he kind of shocked, wasn't it? Curran, to his eternal credit, was over like a shot to put his hand on his shoulder and just try and see that everything was all right. So well done, Sam Curran. Archer in short again, and Santana, who's a tall fellow, can this time lift his elbows and steer it away into the covers, and there's no run.
Did you know that Tobacco Road was covered by David Lee Roth?
I didn't know that. I know there have been a number of covers done of it, and presumably it will tell you.
Edgar Winter, David Lee Roth, Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, a number of people have done it, but it was pretty sure it's written. Yes, I'm sure it was written by the Nashville team.
Oh yeah, no, that's the original.
In comes Archer, pulled now. Is there a man underneath this? There is. It's Chris Wokes, hands up, Aussie style, into his chest, deep square leg. Archer has his wicket finally, and New Zealand are 9 down, and there's a rather grumpy looking Archer. It's like one of the, if a striker scores when you're 5-0 down, it was like one of those celebrations. And he gets one in the 90th minute. I suspect somewhere, even though he doesn't know he's thinking it, in the depths of his psyche, Jofra Archer is thinking, I'm not the guy who takes 1 for 80 odd. That's not me.
Do you think
and it's happened to me twice now.
I'm pretty sure he's not in the depths of his psyche. I think
it's somewhere quite near,
in quite the front of his psyche.
Yeah, I suspect it probably is, Joe. Yeah.
But I'd tell you, Tony, that I was up pleading for Root to let Archer have a go at Santana in the last Test match. I'm sure he wouldn't have got to 126 if he had been bombarded by short balls early in his innings, and that's good reward for Archer. Maybe Jofra's going to perk up a bit after that 1 for 75. Just a quick word back from UD, who said he's listening to us from Dotown in Ranchi, India, and Artif says thanks for the kind words. More on its way next year. He's referring to the Muslamic, the great sketch show that was on BBC 3. More on its way next way. Incidentally, that wicket fell exactly the same time as the Australian
change of bowling.
wicket.
So why don't we just jingle up Neil Wagner, who's the new batsman?
That's
and,
a good idea.
You'll be hearing Steve Jones and Jen Rowe.
You're ahead of the game. If only there was a Neil Wagner jingle. Where? New Zealand tests. Yeah, Henry Logie wattling.
It is 375 for 9. We got little Sammy Curran coming on to bowl. He'll be bowling to Neil Wagner, who's just strode to the crease. One slip, a gully in place. Here comes Curran. Full ball, going for that Yorker, and he's caught. First ball at mid-wicket. That is the end of the innings.
Oh, beautiful.
Wagner is out.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss.
Running back to the changing room.
Wickets in and over. It was Moida.
Because Robert Wagner, see, get it. Anyway, he lasted one ball, a shocking ball it was too. It was a full toss on his knee height on the leg stump, which any batsman worth his salt would have clipped for 4. He clipped it to mid-wicket.
Shit gets wickets.
Shit gets wicket. It certainly does to him, it seems. So 375. England will feel like they've pulled that back a little bit, I think. Because it looked for a little while this afternoon like it might be running away from them. But there we are. Jen?
Yeah.
You're on tweets there.
Yeah.
What have you got?
It's rather beautiful that Atif's been on. That's
Love Atif.
nice to hear from him, and I want to
love him.
If he's workshopping any material, I would like to go there and not heckle him.
You say that as like someone who has been there and heckled him in the past. You think this time I must not heckle him.
I assume that people assume the worst of me.
It just sounded like well, maybe Atif can tell us whether Jen has indeed
Atif
heckled
knows
you.
that I love him tenderly.
Yeah.
Also, we have had Ian Shaw informing us that Warner has 200, along with Jeff Perkins, and with Atif.
Steve Perkins.
Thank
Jeff
you.
Perkins has 200 as well.
Oh,
Who are you playing for today, Jeff?
Jeff Perkins informed us.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I thought he'd actually scored your 200.
Jonah Jones is telling us that he's in Nathan Lyon's hometown. Even more depressingly, yes. Also told us that he got his double 100.
I thought Nathan Lyon is a New South Welshman. Maybe not from Sydney, but somewhere in New South Wales. Don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Someone will put me right, I'm sure.
Messi Jazz is asking if we've ever heard of Tobacco Road.
Tobacco Road?
Yeah, send them to the gulag for some re-education, Tony. Ooh.
All right.
We've strolled into something odd.
I mean, I've heard of Tobacco Road as a thing, and
why did they deserve the gulag?
Oh, that relates to something before we were here, I guess.
Yeah. Ravi is telling us that if you're given a thoroughbred, but you're a farmer, used to using cart horses, and that is what Root is doing to Archer.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, we did make the point next door.
He's making a sort of pearls before swine kind of.
When he took that 9th wicket, and he looked almost a bit deflated, like it's taken this long for me to get this wicket. I'm better than this.
And Santana's dispatched you for 2 sixes on the previous over.
And you're right, Jofra. You are better than that. So, in a way, you think, well, you've got to rediscover that. But equally, we as fans and as England supporters and his teammates can't expect him to be 100 miles an hour all the time. Is that fair enough, Steve?
I think it's fairly succinct summary there. Yeah. So I don't think Joe Root and England are quite using him properly yet. He's bowled an awful lot of overs again in this innings.
Well, there was that in the first test, wasn't there, where we're going to protect
40,
him.
45
he's bowled almost 40, 45. He's bowled almost 40 overs, I think he did. So admittedly, when the opposition scores 600 and you bowl 200 odd overs, then that's more likely to happen. But yeah, look, I've said this for a long time. I've said it since Cook relinquished the captaincy. I didn't think that Root was the man for the job then, and nothing since has really convinced me otherwise. So I don't want to be an moany old git,
but you are.
But I am. I am.
Anyway, so let's look forward. What do we think is going to happen with our batting?
Well, looking at overhead conditions there, looks a little bit grey, doesn't it? So it might swing a bit with a new ball. We know that New Zealand have some excellent seam and swing bowlers in their ranks.
I think it's going to go ass over tea kettle. That is my uneducated opinion.
I love that.
For New Zealand or England?
Arse over tea kettle.
Ass over tea kettle.
Absolutely loving that.
For New Zealand or England?
I can see England.
For England, of course.
I can see England losing 3 wickets pretty quickly.
If you're just joining us.
Arse over tea kettle is the thing that we're predicting here, which was Jen's coinage, and I would add to that I think 3 wickets.
I am not the author of that expression.
No, I know, but I'm giving it to you recently.
Yeah.
I think England will lose 3 wickets in the first half hour.
Yeah, like a good old-fashioned top order collapse.
Yeah.
Pretty normal.
30 for 3.
30.
Remember those days?
Yes.
Like every
last
test.
summer.
Ian Ward is a short man, isn't he? We're seeing Ian Ward standing next to Michael Atherton, both of whom have 2 buttons undone at the top of their shirts, which is the modern way. Do you remember the time when it was just
Suits
one
and
button?
ties.
Or indeed a tie? Mickey Flanagan has a good thing where he says, you take your tie off, you've got the shirt on, guys, you've undone 1 button, undo 2, looking a bit cash, undo 3, looking like a dickhead. And you can't do it all the way up.
I'm just counting.
Same thing. Yeah.
Done 1. It's okay.
So I think this is part of the Sky uniform. 2 buttons now, lads. 2 buttons. It's come from the top. It's come from the very top. This got 2 buttons. No more, no fewer.
So brown?
Hey?
Why is Wardy so brown? He's almost wooden colour now.
He is, and short. That's where I started this little piece. He's a short man.
There's nothing particularly wrong with being short, but he's just so...
Just a fact.
They both look like they came out of the laundry basket.
They probably have. They probably had their shirts done by
For
the
them,
hotel.
yes.
I don't know if they've been done in recent memory.
No?
They don't. They do not. They look very, very unfresh.
See, that's a woman's eye.
Do
So
they?
To us, they look really, really.
They look well fresh to me. What makes you think otherwise?
The collars.
Oh.
Look at their collars.
Okay.
I work on the basis that they've been wearing them on a hot day. They're sweaty and horrible, and the collars are going. So.
Well,
I thought they'd have had a change of shirts at half time.
I think it might be that the shirts are cheap. Or
I
they
can't
just.
imagine Sky would provide them with cheap shirts.
You know.
Oh,
you
they
know-
would never.
You know.
It looks like Zara.
Prince Charles. Wow, that's nice. Prince Charles has never worn the same pair of socks twice. You know that, don't you?
Well, he's gross,
I don't
and that's
belie-
one
I
of the
don't
gross
believe
things
that.
about him. For
Yeah.
all the environmentalism.
He passed them down to his younger brother Andrew, I'm sure.
Ugh.
Who used them for other
things.
purposes.
Oh.
Oh, lordy lord. Please let the cricket start again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they are coming onto the pitch. That
The
is
less
good
is
news.
said of that, the better.
Do you know what I love about cricket in general, New Zealand in particular? These grounds, these last two grounds that we've witnessed Test cricket on, it is like some people call it festival grounds. I would
Sort of village cricket
I would
type
call it
place.
like almost village, but in a really endearing way. The only thing that
A one-story building that's, in theory, the
yeah,
pavilion.
the only thing that would not endear me to it on this particular instance is there is zero shade, and I'm a man
You like your shade, don't
I'm like a little vampire. I don't really like direct sunlight.
Oh, speaking of vampires, Nathan Lyon was born in Young, New South Wales, where Jonah Jones is working.
There we
Four
are.
and a half hours west of Sydney.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? Because if you drive 4.5 hours from London,
You'll be in a
usually you're in a different country.
Yes.
But if you
In
drive
Scotland.
4.5 hours from Sydney,
It depends
you're
on the
not even out of the
traffic,
state.
though. It does depend on the traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you-
I'm even allowing for zero traffic in New South Wales.
Oh, no. I mean in
In
London. In London, you might still be
In London.
That
in
is
the
true.
same part of the M6.
That is true. The
Sorry,
M25,
40.
4, or 40.
I'm learning.
This is all good.
I've only been on this rock.
This is like dad chat when you get to a party, isn't it? You're right, Dave. You're right, Steve. Yeah, how'd you get here? Oh well, I went
You won't
M4,
believe.
M4, M1. Oh, you didn't.
Oh,
wanna-
you shouldn't
didn't
have
wanna
gone
do-
that way.
No,
Shouldn't
you
have
want to
gone that
go
way.
north circular, north circular, mate, north circular. Yeah, that's the thing that blokes talk about. Is that or sport? And we're here to talk about some sport in the shape of cricket in New Zealand. It's Tim Southey's going to open the bowling for New Zealand. Yeah, call him a stalwart, wouldn't you? Call him a stalwart these days.
He's so
Oh, this is
pretty,
nice.
that Tim Southey. He's so pretty and witty and bright. But Tim Southey's not as pretty as Kane Williamson.
See, I would have had I know we've got the Looney Tunes one for Ben Folks, that's all folks. I'd have had that or something similar for Southey because to me, he just always looks like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the man
Wabbit.
taking the first ball.
He's got the drive of a champion from Surrey. His mustache is
Allowed to pass through to the keeper, across his bows. First ball done.
And who is this crooning?
Is that?
I don't know.
That might be Mog, you know.
Really?
It is
Yeah.
Mog. Yeah, it is Mog. yeah.
Mog has a broader range than you might think if you only know him
No.
through his grindcore.
Most people don't do just for ice cream.
Indeed. Here comes Southey again. 3 slips in place, very close together. This is on the leg stump, and it's just turned up towards mid-on, and there is no
A
run.
little bit of swing there.
Yep. Yeah, you'd expect that with the new ball, wouldn't you? And apparently it is a little bit humid, as they say in East Anglia.
Humider than
Humid.
it was earlier.
I am being indulged by Atif with a
Yeah.
with the Jonah Hill gif.
Is that from the film Moneyball?
I think so.
Might be.
Judging by the
He's very
executive-
good. He's very good in Moneyball. This is wide of the off stump, and Burns leans into it, plays it up to mid-off, and there is no run. Williamson does the fielding not 100% correctly.
Very athletic, though.
Thank you, Atif Bhai. And that was nice.
Yeah, we love you, Atif.
Atif's great.
Come in again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
when you have time, of course.
Oh, and Ravi is timely. He's asking to not discuss the royal family.
It's all right, we won't.
It would be our pleasure, Ravi.
This is defended to point, and there is no run by Burns. I would ask you to not split infinitives. Rory Burns' moustache. Can we talk about that for a moment?
Is he
Must
keeping
we?
it just for November, or is he?
I don't know.
I think he's doing it to spite us.
I mean, with his haircut, he already looked a little bit like Hitler. That's all I'm saying.
Ugh.
Tim Southey coming in, 5th ball of his first over. Burns with his arse sticking out allows this one to pass across his bows once more. I think Southey would want a slightly fuller and straighter approach to threaten those stumps in the early knock-ins of this England innings. 375 is what New Zealand scored, which looks to me like a pretty decent score, I think.
Although it was looking like it was going to be a lot more.
Yeah, indeed. But when you looked at the pitch yesterday morning, it looked like it might have had demons in it. This one is defended up straight towards mid-off, and there is no run. That's the end of the first over of the innings. Yeah, I mean, talking about the pitch yesterday morning, old Bumble was out there and he measured it, and he said there was about over half an inch of grass on it. And you look at it now, and you'd struggle to get a blade up. I think it's certainly burnt off a lot of that early moisture. So you'd think that today, tomorrow, them's the days to bat, aren't they?
I would have thought so. So,
yeah, a man who's playing his 11th Test match, and he's in the side because Trent Boult is injured.
You can never trust a man with two first names. Matt Henry.
Other people with two first names, the Tory politician Francis Maud. He's got two girls' names.
He has.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what duffing your forelock means?
This is defended up to mid-on by Sibley, a full ball to start from Henry. Doffing wouldn't be the right word, I don't think.
Because you can doff one's cap.
You can doff your cap, to do off, to take off your cap, to do that.
Do they mean to behead somebody?
To tug your forelock. Your forelock is that bit. It's like a...
No, I know to doff one's cap.
Yeah, but someone said doffing your forelock.
Yeah, that was still Ravi about the royal family.
Yeah, well, he's conflated. He's mixed up two things. This is outside the off stump, and Sibley lets it go by.
He's mixed his metaphors, though, let alone his...
Yeah, he's totally...
It's a metaphor.
You ready for the jingle?
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Vision batting. He made huge runs, the rumors spread by word of mouth. This guy's really talented. Dominic Sibley.
This one outside the off stump, allowed to pass through. Sibley will no doubt be thinking about a couple of his dismissals in the previous Test match, both of which to balls that he could have left alone.
Yes, absolutely. He sort of got himself a start as well, didn't he? Got very bogged down against Santana.
I know.
Second innings,
and that made him look pretty weak, I thought. But the first innings made me laugh because he looked pretty comfortable. Yes, we know he scores runs through the leg side predominantly. This is defended through his favoured leg side. Fielded there at mid-wicket, and there's no run.
Richard LaFlette is saying that something is pathetic, to be frank.
Yeah.
And I wonder what is pathetic.
Let us know what's pathetic. I mean, you take your pick. There's quite a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, no, there's plenty of that. Like, some more of the worst of cricket.
So they're actually showing us...
Everyone's stocking filler, I think. Right?
Yeah. Some more of God's greatest mistakes.
Sibley's off the mark as he tucks one down behind square.
Oh, bless.
Well done.
And Atif is politely requesting an over of commentary and dad chat.
In dad chat. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean, dad chat? You mean like?
I think dad jokes and the sort of stodgy.
I've just got an imaginary roll up. Atif, bit of blue. I'm not sure I should do this in a kind of Bernard Manning accent, but bit of blue.
It worked.
Bit of blue there for dads. I'm not saying the wife's fat, but she bent over in Swansea and there was an eclipse in Bournemouth, etc., etc., etc. There you go. I hope that's good enough for you, Atif. I'm going to move out of that character now, if you don't mind, before I get shot in the head.
Yes.
Around the wicket comes Henry, and Burns comes onto the front foot, plays it up towards mid. And there is no run. England are 1 for none after 2.
But Atif is saying, what do I have to do to make this happen? Well, please clarify. Be specific, but we love you and we'll do our best.
I've already got in trouble once, Atif, on your behalf, so
Oh.
anything further than that and it's your fault.
I can do maybe some dad jokes.
Go on then.
No. Well, I'd have to really think about it. Does this have to be immediate?
Have I done? I'm sure I've done these ones on air before. Like, they say you shouldn't have sex with dry grass, but hey, fuck it. That's a quality joke, right? That's a quality joke. I'm thinking of asking my girlfriend who works in a zoo to marry me. She's a keeper. You see? Atif will be rolling around, if only because he's puppeted me like a puppet master. This outside the off stump and goes further wide of said off stump as Sibley lets it go through to the keeper. No run.
Dr. Cooper is saying, can it be? Have England actually bowled a Sauda?
Yeah, I know.
In 2019.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Scott.
It doesn't happen often, does it?
Yeah.
Abroad as well.
Yeah.
Abroad, Anderson. Sibley faces up to a Southie, who he's forward in defence here. Is Sibley playing it up straight towards me? And there's no run.
Nicely vintage about Sibley's last name.
Yes, he sounds like. I mean, I was just looking
a
at
little Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. Have you seen the film Laurel and Hardy with what's his face? John C. Reilly as.
Oh yes,
as Babe, as he was called.
Oliver Hardy.
Yeah, and Steve Coogan as
Stan Laurel.
Stan.
I have seen a monolith of Laurel and Hardy. I don't know what was a movie.
This is defended up to mid off and there's no run.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what was a movie, what wasn't a movie. I just know that it was Laurel and Hardy, and that is how they're cemented in my memory.
Yeah. I growing up, I'm quite old, but I'm not that old that I saw it first time around. But I used to see it. I used to see it on a Saturday morning on BBC Two as a kid, and you kind of there's a warmth about it, isn't there?
There is. They were fantastic, actually. And I used to love Buster Keaton as well.
Yes.
Just used to crack me up.
This is short, and Sibley ducks, and it's scones It's scones but
they got to run.
He keeps his wits about him. They jog through for a leg by.
Yeah, that was nicely
composed. We're going to do a head injury assessment here.
Kane Williamson immediately runs up to Sibley, even before he completed the run, to say, "Hey, you're all right, mate." And he just took his eye off the ball there. This is the thing. I'm not an advocate for getting rid of helmets. By no means am I that advocate. But it's definitely true to say that before helmets, players watch the ball more. And this time, Sibley, he sort of went down on his haunches. Took his eye off the ball and ended up nutting the ball to point.
And getting a run.
Without looking at it. He's going to have to change his helmet, I suspect, because that'll be dented. I wonder what they do with those helmets when they've had a dent in and think, well, they can't use that anymore. That helmet's going to go somewhere else, isn't it? Someone's going to use that.
I think they're auctioned
off.
Look
at the bloke who got.
Yeah.
I would imagine that they're auctioned off because someone would buy them.
Do you know that for a fact?
But it's a very good suggestion.
I'm fairly willing to bet.
I'm willing to believe it.
Yeah. Because he would use it for decoration, like, oh, this is the helmet that the blah blah blah, the blah blah blah.
What I would be uncomfortable about is if they say it's no longer any good for a Test match batsman, but would just sort of funnel it down into
lower grade.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not necessarily facing express space,
I don't think that's the point, is it? It's a hard ball, and whether it's being bowled at 90 miles an hour or, let's say,
It makes a difference.
70. Would you like to be hit in the head at 70 miles an hour with a cricket ball?
I wouldn't like to be hit
I
in the
would-
head with a
I
cricket
would
ball
not.
at 3 miles an hour.
Yeah. Anyway, so
It's just, it wouldn't be my choice.
So, no.
Not my idea of a good time.
not my idea. Listen, if anyone out there knows what happens to these helmets,
I would imagine that they're auctioned off.
they might be auctioned
as
off.
collectibles.
Has anyone bought a helmet? Are they all auctioned? Is it only some of them?
I haven't been on eBay recently. I have to go and have a look. Actually.
There's,
Is that still a thing, eBay?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Apparently, it's quite big around 2002. I don't know.
It still is
Oh, right,
in
yeah.
operation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There he is. He looks a little bit discombobulated, the big lad, Dom Sibley. He's got his headwear off. He's got good iron filings beard going on there. And sort of Lego hair.
I think he's staying on, isn't he?
He's taking a bit of time, and his Nazi appearance partner at the other end. I can't help looking at Burns and thinking of a Nazi. He does look like a Nazi, doesn't he? The hair.
I haven't looked at him.
There he is.
Yeah.
The hair,
Oh.
the hair, and now the tash. I mean, it's like he's doing it on purpose. Anyway, he
does look a bit villainous.
Yeah, he's gutsed out a few good innings for England in recent times, and for that I'm personally grateful. Sibley's having a little grin. He looks like this is going to sound like a terrible backhanded compliment. He looks like an uncomplicated character.
Yes, it
I was going to say that he looks a bit on the douchey side, but hey, what do I know about life?
You may very well say that. I couldn't possibly. I could comment. I agree.
The new helmet the new helmet is arriving.
Yeah, we've had that flown in from Papua New Guinea.
Richard LaFlette is saying good analysis. Followed.
Oh.
Man likes his punctuation. I can respect that.
Me too. Love a bit of punctuation. We were talking earlier on in the boozer that you know the ellipsis, the 3 dots where you go.
Yeah, dot dot dot.
Yeah, you say
Passive aggressive.
like you say something. Yeah, it could be passive aggressive, or I think it's often used by people like me who are a bit snooty about using exclamation marks. I don't like using exclamation marks.
Right. Why not?
I think it's usually.
I like a good exclamation.
It's usually unless you're saying bang. You know, it's usually used by people to say, "I've just made a joke," right? But I think the snob like me.
Are you trying to be too cool for school?
Yeah, I think I am.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. Absolutely right. I think
Work past
the
it.
acceptable face of the exclamation mark is the ellipsis, the 3 dots.
Now you see, right, okay.
You go like, "I've just made a joke," ... as if there's more to come, and people go, "Is there more to come?" And you go, "No, that's it." It's a different
That's
meaning.
like music videos saying to be continued.
Very
That's
much.
Very obnoxious.
Very much. Very much. I didn't say very much. Well, does Neo do that? Do you know Neo?
Oh, the hat guy? The R&B hat guy.
Yeah, the hat guy. Exactly. I worked with him once.
He has a really...
Oh, this is driven back
Ooh.
to Southey, who gets a little paw on it, dribbles onto the stumps at the non-striker's end. And
Sibley
just
was
for a
scampering
moment,
there, wasn't
Sibley was heart in mouth. It did cannon into the stumps.
Well, that happened in the other innings,
and the
too.
bails came off, which doesn't always happen these days. He was back.
little
He was
finger
back.
on this.
Yeah.
I think it kind of tells us how little movement there is in the air. Because it has happened before. Something going a little too straight.
So wide of the crease this time, Burns is able to lean into this and plays it beautifully with a big stride and creams it through extra cover for one of these.
Number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
So yeah, back to Neo.
He's an odd-looking gentleman. Very odd-looking.
Do you know what his real name is?
It would be racist of me to guess.
Would it?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be racist
I was
of
not
me to
expecting that
guess that Future's name is Nadavius. Or Navadius, something like that. It would be racist if I guessed.
Well, if I tell you that his real name is Shaffer Shimer Smith, would that... I don't know. Anyway, he's a nice guy. Met him a few years ago. This is full and outside off stump, and Sibley drives it to mid-off. Henry is starting a new over. I was working on Malibu. I was working for an advertising agency, looking after the Malibu account. Malibu owned by Pernod Ricard, the French
giant.
Yeah, awash. Not unfair to say awash with cash. This is short and outside the off stump and swinging away, and Sibley's able to swing easily out of the way of that one. Through to the keeper. Anyway, we did this thing with. They launched a new product. Did Malibu called Malibu Red.
Ew.
And it was already you're saying ooh.
I was a bartender in the Caribbean. I know more than I'd like to know about Malibu.
Ah, good. So I don't know if this ever came across your bar then, but it's Malibu and tequila in the same bottle.
Ugh.
Actually, really nice. This is full and
Well, it depends
defended
on
up
your
the
mark.
wicket back to Henry, no run.
Where you start nice. And
The way I always used to think about it, because most people who drank Malibu were, let's not beat around the bush, like new drinkers, if not underage drinkers, because it's nice and sweet.
Like my daughter.
And how old is she?
19.
She's probably over it by now, I'd say. Henry in again, close to the stumps, and just outside the off stump, and Sibley is forward in defending it back up the track, there's no run. And so there's that, you grow out of it quite quickly. It's sweet, it's easy to drink, but then quite quickly you go, actually I like beer, or I like gin and tonic, or whatever it is. So they thought, we've got to do some new products here. So one of the things to do was Malibu Red, Malibu and tequila in the same bottle. Because I don't know about you, but when a night goes tequila, like there's no going back basically, is there? This is driven full ball. It's driven through square point by Sibley. He comes through for 1 and they'll stick at that. England's score moves on to 7 without loss. And
And let me catch up on tweets.
yeah, do.
2 front lines and one night watchman out by close. That's standard England operating procedure, isn't it? Says Ravi. And Atif is regaling us with another gif.
Is it more dad jokes?
He wants something innocuous, like kind of the remember the direction and the directions conversation. Innocuous conversation. You can talk about the weather.
Oh goodness. Round the wicket this time to the left-handed Burns, and Burns is forward and inside edgely defends it up to mid-on. There's no runs. The end of the over, it's 7 without loss.
You can talk about things that are purposefully harmless, and I think that's what he means. Something wholesome.
Yeah, like
And
Tim.
dad
You know Tim Vine, the comedian Tim Vine.
Yeah, very much so.
So I went to my butcher's recently, and I was pointing at the bits of beef on the top shelf, and he said, I bet you can't guess how much these weigh. I said, I'm not betting on that. The stakes are too high.
Yeah.
Oh.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
See, talking of innocuous and gorgeous, there's a small child with a stuffed penguin in the crowd there, and the penguin is bigger than the child. This is clipped off his legs by Sibley. It's Southey starting a new over, and he comes through for a single. 8 without loss.
Evil Scutus is wondering who would be the concussion substitute.
G'day, Scott.
He's been in touch. Ravi is suggesting that the injured helmet be donated to youngsters who play with tennis balls.
Why would they need a helmet? But yes, I like the. I
Safety
appreciate
first.
the kindness behind the thought.
Safety first.
Southey around the wicket to Burns. It's too wide. Way too wide. He's able to leave that through to the keeper. That would be a one-day wide, but it's not a test match wide. But it's a poor
Utkarsh
delivery.
is saying name 2 batsmen 6 foot or taller who you can call a great of the game. Being 6'2" myself.
Chris Gale?
I would love
Chris
to
Gale,
see
I like it.
Dom Sibley succeed.
I would.
Oh, that's an odd flex, but okay.
Alistair Cook, 6 foot.
Oh yeah.
He's like 6'5".
Burns gets one just outside the off stump
He's
once more. Southey is
taller
round the
than
wicket
he
to him,
used to
through to the keeper.
That makes him rather ungraceful. Remember how, like, he was a bit Wickermanish.
Well, he used to run. I say used to. He's not dead.
He can still run.
Yeah, he runs like Crazy Legs Crane. Do you remember? You remember that cartoon character? Just arms, legs, elbows, knees. He's not graceful by any means.
Yeah.
But one of the most effective batsmen in world cricket the last decade and 2 decades really. This is outside the off-stump again, and once more Burns allows it to pass through to BJ Watling, and there's no run.
Tom is defending Burns, saying that Curran is way more Third Reich.
Except
Okay.
he can't yet grow the tash. That's the only thing he's lacking really.
It is a more extreme haircut on Curran. I have to say.
The Hitler Younger, I believe, is the
in fact,
correct term.
And Sam's brother Tom looks even worse.
Yeah. They've got another brother as well, haven't they? Coming through. It's like the endless bloody production line of them. This is a fuller delivery outside the off stump, which Burns leans into and plays it up to mid-off, and there's no run.
Mayank is saying that no one has brought up Neo in conversation for 10 years. What a throwback.
Like when I worked with him back in 2011, apparently back then he was quite new.
Really? In 2011? No.
Is that why his name was Neo?
It's just then that corporations were catching on to him. Do you see?
Wasn't he like Atlantic Records type of person?
Around the wicket,
Either
doesn't get very high, and Watling takes it diving forward. There's no run. It's 8 without loss after 5 overs. We'll have to pause our chat about Neo as we have replacements coming in. All I'm saying is, he was a very cool guy, and he thought I was great.
Yep. You owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills. So please, go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there is literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
Pay me what you want it.
Thank you very much to the Grubster. David Brooke taking you through the next, could be the last session of the day. Jason is with me on the tweets, and Wes is back into the Jingles chair. Wes refreshed and rejuvenated.
Don't know about refreshed.
It's been a
long day.
night with a lot of talking in the green room,
yes,
if nowhere else.
Tell you could have put the cameras on the green room, which could have been entertaining.
Yep.
But hopefully it's been entertaining here as well. Well, it certainly has. The Grubster's gone off to do some form for Newbury. 9 for no wicket. England in response, 366 to deficit, and Burns covers up and plays that one back to the bowler, who is Matt Henry. We were just discussing Matt Henry, Jason. He had 2 very good seasons in county cricket.
Yep, he got over 100 wickets in those 2 seasons in first-class cricket.
Who did he play for?
Definitely played for Kent.
Kent, yes, and not listed on the Cricinfo. His profile doesn't mention Kent.
I believe the season before was Worcestershire.
Oh, really?
Or
okay.
It was Worcestershire or Derbyshire, one of those 2.
Here he is now. He's bowling round the wicket to Burns, who plays that one. It bounces over the bowler's head and actually goes down to the long off boundary. It's been pulled in by the skipper, Williamson, and they've taken a couple.
That's a heck of a throw. That's gone all the way from the boundary edge to the far set of stumps, and in fact over the far set of stumps.
Yes, I've always found that very difficult to do. I favour the underarm relay as my method of getting the ball back in. That was Williamson who pulled that back in. So Burns is on 6, Sibley on 4, and the talk in the green room has been all about Dominic Sibley, whether he's going to make the grade, whether he's going to cut it as a test match cricketer.
I think he's got the temperament. Whether he's got the technique is another matter.
Henry to Burns, who's forward defensive, and there's no run. But Wes, who is a Kent man, will be able to tell us about another debutant, Zack Quarry. He's down to bat number 6. What do you think? Is he going to make it as well?
I mean, it's still very early in his career. Obviously, this season he's been opening the batting. And he has batted in the middle order before. That was mostly a year or 2 ago. So I was a bit surprised they didn't bring him in at 3 and move everyone else down.
Henry, that's well pitched up, driven by Burns to mid-off, and there is no run.
Well, they've got another Kent man at 3 who's sort of found his way in there, having been up the order and down the order, but no, in the last 3 tests or so, he's managed to find a way to get runs, even if they're not converting 50s into centuries.
Who are we talking there?
Joe Denley.
Oh, Denley, of course. Forgive me. Here's Henry, and he's round the wicket. That's played very solidly by Rory Burns, who is looking more and more like a Test match batsman every match he plays. That's the end of the over. After 6 overs, England 11 for no wicket.
Mark Zip says, when a night goes tequila, there's no going back. Must be the motto for at least one gorilla. He was just talking about donating helmets. Says the size might be an issue. Ravinair says, I think about talking about height. KP was 6'4". I thought it was higher than that, actually, taller than that. Atif Nawaz, our own Atif Nawaz, says Steve Smith might break the world record for highest Test score against Pakistan today. Well, he's got a long way to go. He's only just got into the wicket. Can you recount how you felt when Brian Lara set the record against England? David, would you have been in the vicinity at that point?
I certainly was. I was very proud to be there. Southey outside the off stump, Sibley lets it go. Yeah, I was there, Jace. The 375. Yeah, the 375.
375 or the 400?
I was there for the 375, which I think was the more significant of the 2 records.
Well, that was the one that had been around for Gary Sober since 1957.
Yeah, so Gary was there. He came out. The play stopped, and he shook hands. And a friend of mine actually went onto the pitch, took a photograph, which has become a rather iconic picture of the players making an arc of bats when Brian Lara came off. Here's Southey, and that's just wrapped Sibley on the pad. He was a bit sort of caught up there, didn't
I don't think it was the pad. I think it was a bit more central than that.
A bit more central, thank you. It's above the pad, hence no appeal. It was in that area that's protected by the box. Oh yes, full on. Yes, and painful blow. Ouch. But he seems to
he's been torpedoed, but he's not sinking.
No, he's not. None of that sort of hands on the ankles, head between the legs to give it to recover. He's just taking guard again for the next ball. It's kind of odd sort of stance, isn't it? And probably wouldn't win any prizes in a beauty competition, but he's not what he's there for. He's there to. He's down the leg side, and that's well taken by BJ down the leg side. Why anyone's bowling there to Sibley, I'm not sure. Southey better get his direction right. And why haven't they brought Santana on yet to bowl against Sibley? I would bring him on straight away after the way that Sibley played Santana in the last Test match.
Yes, he didn't have a get-out shot. I get the feeling the pitch is not quite so jumpy as at that point in the second innings in the last Test.
You're very tempted to have a go with Santana, wouldn't you?
I think we'll see him before the end of the day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, here's Southey now. He's bowled, and that's all an appeal for LBW there. He's given him out. Joe Wilson raises the finger. So the question is, will there be a review? Sibley's come down the wicket to have a word with Rory Burns. Is Rory Burns going to send him on his way? It looked a little bit leggy, but no. Sibley has turned and puts his bat under his arm and starts to take off his gloves in the traditional manner. So, having called for Santana, it turns out Southey has done the business without the need for the slow left armour. So that's a wicket, first wicket to fall. It's Sibley playing across a straight one, looking for his trademark shot through mid-wicket, but it wasn't a leg stump ball, it was a middle stump, playing across himself. And for once, Joel Wilson, I think it was the umpire, his decision has not been questioned.
It was Dharmasena.
Dharmasena, I beg your pardon. Terrible error.
All of the dreams that I dreamed were mine are gone.
So, correction, it's umpire Dharmasena, of course it was. Apologies for that, Twitterati. Please don't inundate me with that one. But, umpire Dharmasena raising the finger, and it's Dominic Sibley who's out, which, reflects the conversation we're having in the green room, that sometimes a batsman who's prolific in county cricket might have trouble stepping up. Well, certainly Dom Sibley has had a difficult start, but he won't be the only one that's had a difficult start in his career. One thinks of Graham Gooch and Mike Gatting, other people that have struggled.
Ramprakash, Hick.
Well, Ramprakash never got going, did he? Really?
He got an average of 30.
Ooh, I think it was slightly
27.
less. Yeah, it was. He
did all
could
right
be
against
relied
Australia.
on for a 27.
Yeah, he had an average of near a
That's
40.
not good in the Test match, is it?
Against Australia.
Yeah, but 27 overall, no good at all,
Not
wasn't
brilliant.
it? You know, in a Test match, 27. So it's Joe Denley, the new batsman. We'll play his jingle in a moment. Southey bowls, and that's nicely played off his legs by Denley. Really timed that very sweetly. It's gone to the boundary for 4. Basically, you've got a choice of a Joe Denley jingle or a boundary,
We'll
whichever
do
you
both,
like.
why not?
I said both.
We'll do Joe Denley first.
Joe Denley, he's almost as old as the theme song, but Chef is gone and we need someone to bat at the top of the order. Joe Denley, he's also a part-time bowler. He can do leg spin, but he's no Ravi Ashwin. He'll need help from the heavy roller. Joe Denley, Joe Denley.
And is Denley who plays that one respectfully back to the bowler. So a wicket for Southey. Followed by that 4, but Southey's taken 1 for 9, and that's the first wicket to fall.
Yep, some tweets. Tom M, out to Razimak, asks the question, are they adding overs at the end of the day today as well as the early start? Well, they haven't bowled particularly quickly, so yes, they will. We looked before we came on for this last spell. There was about 18 overs still to happen in the day, so they will be getting as many of those in as they can in the half hour. Durbanoki says, now in Beijing, but too much buffering to listen. We're doomed. Evil Scoot says, Matt Hayden was 6'2". Jeff Perkins talking about the Pakistan versus Australia match, in which Warner has now got 200. Says, Mohammed Musa would have had Warner, but for no balling. Yes, I watched that yesterday morning. It was only just over the line, but it was a no ball.
Henry to Burns, plays this very nicely. Classic off drive there by Burns. It's gone whistling to the boundary, no doubt about that one.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All the reservations about Sibley, they really don't apply to Rory Burns, who's just looking like a Test match opener. Suddenly he's looking one of the more experienced, he obviously is now one of the more experienced batsmen in this lineup, but he's just looking the part and playing very nicely.
I think he's learned that in order to play well at Test cricket, you've got to do the thing that you do in county cricket, which is to play to your strengths.
Yeah.
And his strength is being compact, basically, having a compact technique, not chasing the ball, letting the bowlers bowl to him.
Burns, in fact, demonstrates that precisely there, plays it out to the leg side, and there's no running. But you could say Sibley was playing to his strengths in terms of trying to hit it through mid-wicket, but chose the wrong ball to do that to.
Well, he's a year behind the curve in comparison to Rory Burns, and 3 or 4 years behind in terms of experience playing first-class cricket. So that doesn't surprise me that he's maybe not got the weight of experience behind him as a result.
Burns now facing Henry, again bowling over the wicket to him. Lets that one go. Good leave by Burns. So Joe Denley's come in at the other end and hit his was it the first ball he hit for 4? So and Denley's looked the part, hasn't he? As a Kent man, Wes, you must be delighted with the way Joe Denley's taken to Test cricket this time round. Well, for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a bit sceptical about him coming into side opening the batting when he hasn't done it for the best part of 5 years. But now he's batting at 3 and still at the top of the order, but in his more
quite often opening as a result of the fragility of the England opening attack.
Henry to Burns, plays that sweetly out to mid-off this time, but so he doesn't get it through the gap on this occasion. Ollie Pope is on the boundary there next to Bruce French, the wicket-keeping coach, and who's next to Ollie Pope? Sam Curran having so Ollie Pope taking a well-earned break, while Joe Root does some limbering up, number 66, getting ready to come out.
Well, hopefully not getting ready to come out.
Henry to Burns. Oh, and that's there's a catch and it's gone down at first slip. Burns flashed at that one, didn't really need to play it, and it's been put down, I think, by
Ross Taylor.
Ross Taylor, it is at first slip, is usually pretty reliable, but well,
that's the second one that he's dropped in consecutive tests that were travelling. I mean, he also caught an absolute blinder in the last test, but that
rather snatched at it. It was to his. Let's see, to his left hand, to his right hand side,
which is towards the wicketkeeper, which you don't see very often for a first slip.
But Watling didn't go for it, so he can't have that as an excuse. So Taylor was right to go for it, but he spilled it, slightly snatched at it, and
you do get the feeling that if a keeper goes for that, he'll get that.
Yeah.
Because he's moving, but because he didn't go, that was less reaction for Ross Taylor.
His next ball from it did take a single. His next ball from Henry is well pitched up. Denley plays it back. So a lucky escape there for Rory Burns, who'd only got to 11, and Ross Taylor smiles ruefully as they cross England 20 for 1.
Evil Scooters, it's not quite day 4 pitch yet for Santana. He's not going to get the help he got in the previous test match. And talking about people on Quick Tracker, hello to Wazim Khan, AM Kotresh, Shira Kopa, Deepak Chauhan, and Samin Madawa.
Hello everyone at Quick Tracker. Hello, Quick Tracker. Greetings to all our friends in India and wherever you're listening to us in the world and beyond.
Maybe. Wow. Is there a beyond this world? Are there people?
Southey is round the wicket, and Burns, almost overcompensating for his last indiscretion, plays that very studiously. Yeah, it was a long way for his body when that. Chance was given. It was loose, and it's not what England need at all. A second wicket to fall
very
so early in this innings.
To how he got out in the first test, in the first innings, he's playing away from his body.
Yeah, Burns has got to realise there's a lot of responsibility on him now. He hasn't got the experience down the order, so a lot riding on this partnership. Burns and Denley represents, along with Root, the experience in this lineup. And Southey plays. Next ball from Southey is played down by. Burns into the gully for no run. So Burns is on 11, Denley on 4, England 20 for 1. They still trail by a massive 355. And New Zealand are scenting blood here. There's 3 slips, and they're looking for that second wicket, which could really be significant. But just seeing a replay of that drop catch from Taylor, it doesn't look too pretty even on the replay. Southey running in with purpose to Burns again, plays that one away from the body, but at this time he makes good contact, goes to Santana at the covers, and there's no run. So Burns is going for his shots. If it's up there, he's going to have a go. So
he's often done this. He's often tried to start quickly, get the ball rolling to about 10-15, and then he'll sort of rein it in and play his natural game thereafter. Presumably on the basis that the best time to score some runs against the hard ball is probably in the first couple of overs when the bowlers have not yet got the radar completely set yet.
Well, he's certainly keeping the slips interested. There's 3 of them waiting expectantly. Southey's making a change to the field. No, the umpire's just marking out the crease. So 3 slips go down, and there's a gully as Southey bowls, and a good lead from Burns gets his bat well out of the way. But yeah, Denley 4 not out, Burns at 11. So let's look at the rest of the England lineup. Next in is Joe Root. Remind me, use 5 and 6. Where's
5 will be Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes. 6 will be Zack Quarry, and 7 will be Ollie Pope.
Yeah. Okay, so there's deep. England bat deep, as they say. Pope at 7.
Well, England have a lot of potential in their batting. It's got to be realised into actual runs, I think, before we can say that.
Yeah. Southey again. Burns plays away his body, but times it beautifully, and that's going to speed away to the cover boundary through extra cover. It was a really lovely shot, almost on the up, but he got well over the top of it, and it's driven for 4.
2 + 2 is on man.
There's no doubt about it. That's definitely on the up.
But beautiful position of the hands, wasn't it? It was sort of. You could see him placing that. So Burns, enterprising start this. Surrey supporters will know that Burns plays like this. He does. He's not a slow scorer. Southey to Burns, plays that defensively this time to Santana.
Well, yes, he can appear slow, but that's only in comparison to players like Jason Roy and Aaron Finch. Well, when they're playing in 20 over matches, when Burns often doesn't get in the side even for 20 over matches. But yeah, in county matches, he's as reliable a scorer as anybody else, and as rapid a scorer as anybody else.
Yeah, he keeps it ticking over, doesn't he? In the Champo, as they call it these days, in the county Champo.
For which the fixtures came out at the beginning of this week.
Happy?
Yeah, I'm slightly happy. I'm still not happy with the sort of early. It bookended at the early beginning and the end of the season, but slightly happier at the number of games that have at least a portion in the weekend that I can get to.
That's true. More weekend cricket. Southie to Denley, and there's no run there. Yeah, obviously the county championship's been forced out again to the start and end of the season. It's been marginalised, yeah, and you've got that very long period of short form cricket, the T20 Blast and the 100, 2 competitions instead of 1.
In fact, there's 3, because not only the 100 also has the Royal London One Day Cup sort of interspersed in it as well. So often there's 100 matches and One Day Cup matches on the same day.
Henry to Denley, who's solidly behind that. Yeah, no, if we're watching first, for fans of first class cricket, I don't like to use the term Red Bull cricket. First class cricket, there's not a lot of it during the Test series, and so if a batsman goes out of form for the England team, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Henry to Denley, that's the Yorker. It's dug out well by Denley, keeps that one out. It was well directed Yorker from Henry, showing that he's the Grubster is off to do form for Newbury. He'd be on Grubby will speak in the morning on I'm sure about Grubby will be following the Hennessy Gold Cup at Newbury
Your
tomorrow.
own personal tips line, is it?
It is, absolutely, yeah. Maybe not the best time to ask him now after a hard stint in the commentary box. Joe Denley facing up to Henry, and he lets that one go. It's a good leave because it was pretty close, but bouncing over the off stump, so comfortable leave from him, and England remain on 24 for 1.
Ravinair says, I shall repeat my pessimistic prediction. 1 more frontline batter and the night watchman to go by the close of play.
Okay, Ravi, that sounds very plausible at this stage.
That sounds a repeat of the previous test.
It does, yeah. Well, Ravi's a shrewd judge. He's very rarely wrong. Here's Henry. He bowls, and that's out. Ravi, you called it correctly. It was a push from Denley. He didn't get over the top. It's caught behind by BJ Watling. The wicket has fallen. Henry gets the breakthrough, and it's the end of Joe Denley out for 4. Caught Watling, bowled Henry for 4. England 24 for 2.
I think you'd have to say that Axe actually bowled out. That he had to play at that. Yeah. His foot did go slightly straight down the wicket rather than to the direction the ball was coming from, but I can't see how much more he could do with that to not get an edge.
It was a super ball from Henry, showing
and it was very well caught by BJ Watling low down.
Absolutely,
because it was dying on him at that point.
Henry showing why he was such a successful bowler in first class cricket. When he came over to play in England, that was a top ball. He belies his test match average, which is in the 40s. Caught there, Denley pushing forward at that ball, just had some purchase on it, and it's taken by BJ Watling. So, Ravi, you called it right. That's a wicket down. Another top order batsman you said was going to fall, and the very next ball, Joe Denley caught behind, and England 2 down for 24.
I do wonder how often that has happened in the nets at Kent. In a period that Henry was playing for Kent, that he's bowled to Denley an awful lot of times at that point. So I'm not surprised he was opening the bowling as a result. Anyway, the England captain is now striding out.
Desperate need for some runs.
Should we jingle him up?
Let's jingle him up.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Yes, I thought with the amount of overs still remaining to play in the game that the night watchman wouldn't come out yet. He would just wait until there's about 5 overs to go.
No pressure, Joe. Facing his first ball now, Henry, and Joe Root defensively, and that's the end of the over. So successful over for Matt Henry, successful over for New Zealand. Denley is out, 24 for 2 England.
We're up to date as it stands at the moment.
Last engagement I saw Joe Root take part in before this tour was the launch of the 100. Maybe he'd be better off, instead of bigging up the 100, having a few more nets perhaps before coming out.
Maybe, yeah.
Bigging up Red
he looks
Bull
like a
for
man who
first
could do with
basket.
a bit of time away from the game, because he plays all formats. Maybe he needs to cut one of them out potentially for a little while, and go away and do a lot of work on his technique, because I think his technique is.
He has changed his technique from what I heard. He went back to an old batting coach and has just been tinkering with his technique, but obviously it doesn't seem to work. I think
that's probably the mistake, because when you're playing well, you don't need to go to your technique, and the mistake is often
for Root. It's more a mindset issue than a technical issue.
Southey to Burns, 8 ducks under. That was a good bouncer from Southey, because it was well directed, and Burns had to get out of the way of that one, or that would have crashed into his bonds. That was really well directed. It was right at Burns, and Burns just got out of the way of that, took good evasive action without really.
But he's done the sensible things, like getting the hands and the bat out of the way early, and it's only his head that's in danger, and that's well protected.
Got to be so flexible as a batsman, having to get underneath these. So Southey's 1 for 13. He's coming in for his 6th over in this opening spell, and that's left by Burns. Joe Root, no pressure on him, the captain skipper. You didn't say, you talked about Joe possibly Root having some time away from one format, but you didn't say, Jason, about captaincy. Do you not think everyone is saying, Michael Atherton, other people joining in the press, saying that it's the captaincy that's having an effect on his batting?
But
and
who do you give the captaincy to?
Well, it's often a mistake to give the captaincy to your best player, because it then gives them extra.
Is Joe Root England's best player?
No, Ben Stokes is at the moment, but I wouldn't give it to him either.
Southey, and that's an inside edge from Rory Burns. He basically threw the bat at that one. It was well pitched up outside the off stump, and he's inside edged it down to the boundary. It's beaten Watling and gone down for 4. Streaky.
Now my innings going, great guns. I hit the ball, 4 runs. I hit the ball and it went for 4 runs.
Yeah, I edged the ball 4 runs. That should have said, but it wasn't convincing. But it's gone all along the ground, and Burns will take those on to 19, and England are 28 for 2. So New Zealand are sensing blood here. They're really going for it in this session. Looking for another wicket. Southey. Burns leaves that one this time. Just 2 slips though. Third slip's come out, and there's a fielder. Matt Henry's on the boundary taking refreshments. I was just about to look at the field there, but not able to on the current pictures that we're looking at.
Just very quickly, it was good to see just news from Adelaide. Steve Smith has just become the fastest bat to 7,000 test runs, beating Wally Hammond's previous record by 5 innings.
I'm glad we're talking about Steve Smith. It's taking attention away from the fact that Warner's on 235, looking menacing. It's defensively by Burns, and there's no run. Warner was 235 last time I looked. 235 not out.
Well, he's only got a little way to go before his previous best is surpassed, which is 253, I think. Also, was that against New Zealand? We were talking about it in agreement, but I can't remember who it was against.
Warner's moved on to 244. 370 balls, 29 fours. So he's kicked things up a notch.
So Burns waits for Southey, and he plays that through the onside, but straight to mid-on actually, and there's no run. So that's the end of that over from Southey. Burns is on 19. Root yet to score. England 28 for 2.
It was good as responding to Pofferman says quite wittily. So Root considered a night watchman in this scenario, or Burns? ? Well, they don't have their go-to night watchman in the team. They dropped him. Jack Leach.
So who would the night watchman be then? Any idea who's padded up now? Would it be Woke? It would be Wokes.
I reckon Wokes. I think Wokes has done it before.
Yeah,
I think he's quite up for it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be told to do it, it's another thing to sort of say, I'll do it.
Yeah, so Wokes is actually, number 9 in this batting order. Did we expect him to bat below current? Henry to Root, no run. Who do you reckon would be 8, who would be 9? Curran 8, Wokes 9.
Archer 10, Broad 11.
That's
how I
decent
would go.
tail, isn't it? It's a pretty good tail
It's
there.
not bad.
9, 10 Jack, Wokes, Archer and Broad. I mean, Archer hasn't really shown his true batting form yet.
He batted all right in the last test.
Yeah,
in the
those of
second
us at
innings,
Sussex
but
know he can bat because he's, he averaged 35 in 2 seasons for Sussex. Henry, and that's played nicely by Joe Root. He's going to take a single. Is he to get off the mark?
Nope.
No. It's the one he's turned down. It would have been a bit risky because Williamson was onto it in a flash. So Joe Root is still yet to score. I say still. He's only had 3 balls. But hopefully he can be as calm as he appears in those ads with the dog. Vitality. You've seen those ads where he just sort of takes the strike and stuff? That's what we want to see. A bit of calmness. No pressure. 3 slips for Joe Root. They crouch now and wait for Henry. He's bang on the spot. Joe Root's having to play defensive to that nice defensive shot, positive shot. But tell you, Matt Henry's really hitting the spot here. We didn't see that much. I came in late today owing to a previous engagement. But am I correct in thinking that England weren't really hitting that type of length? They were going either short or looking for the Yorker.
They didn't get as much out of the ball as I think these New Zealand bowlers have done. And the pitch has changed somewhat as well. I think the pitch is a bit drier as well.
Henry, that's Root's having to get right behind that. But they're just, the New Zealand bowlers have... Okay, it's easy to say everything New Zealand's doing great at the moment and everything England's doing is not. But they just seem to be hitting at those areas of the wicket that...
other bowlers cannot reach.
Yeah, they're asking questions. Whereas I saw a lot of short stuff and a lot of attempted Yorkers, many of which were half volleys and some of which were full tosses.
Yeah, they seem to be targeting the stumps a lot more than what England did.
Here's Henry. Again, that's played defensively by Root. They're not letting him have an easy run here. He's going to battle to get his first run.
That Henry's got a point to prove because he's been out of the side for a while and he wants to get some wickets and put forward his case to be retained.
Yes.
Which is a hard thing to do when you've got Bolt and Southey and Ferguson.
And Ferguson waiting in the wings.
And de Grandhomme and Uncle Tom Cobley and all.
Well, there's another one as well, isn't there, we've missed?
Wagner.
Yes, Wagner, of course. Here's Henry. Can Root get off the mark here? No, he's going to play it up to Ridon, so we're going to have to wait for Joe Root to break his duck. He remains on no score. Burns on 19 and England 28 for 2.
Because at least 3 of those 5 that we mentioned are in the top 7 of all-time New Zealand wicket takers in Test cricket.
And in the rankings at the moment, or were they in the Test match rankings as well?
I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't have thrown you that one there, Jason. I wasn't.
But certainly in terms of all-time wicket takers for New Zealand, I think Bolt and Southey are almost neck and neck on about 255, 256 wickets.
Yeah, they're really well stocked, haven't they?
Wagner, I think they're 3 and 4, and I think Wagner's about number 7 in the list at about 180 wickets.
That's it.
Which is an awful lot more than I expected.
They're really well resourced now in the seamers. One thinks back to the days when they had, Richard Hadley and not a lot else. And now, as you say, you've called out the names there, Jason, of 4 or 5 who would grace any international 11. Southey bowls and Burns ducks under it. No run.
Neil Wagner, actually the 3rd best Test bowler currently.
After
Pat Cummins and Kagiso Rabada. Trent Bolt is 12th and Tim Southey is 14th.
Interesting, so Wagner's top of all 3 of those, yeah. Well, he's wholehearted cricketer, Wagner, and what a great to see him take that 5 for, well, depends who he was supporting, but just an objective, neutral supporter would say that it was that 5 he took to finish England off in the last Test match was some achievement. His Southey outside the off-stump, Burns lets it go.
Well, it wasn't a particularly helpful wicket, so he had to put an awful lot of work in, and it was work that he doesn't normally do in terms of pitching the ball up rather than attacking short.
Yeah, he showed that he's not just a one-trick pony. Everyone knows him as the sort of short pitch bowler, but when he pitches short, he's very accurate, isn't he? He gets short and straight.
Yes, it's a real skill to be able to bowl within a sort of like 9 inches to a foot sort of
Not
box.
too high.
It's a box, really.
Yeah, and
sort
not
of-
too high.
Yeah, right underneath the armpit or at
Underneath
the armpit.
That's the way. That's why they don't like it. That's flicked away by Burns. Was that a chance?
Drop
No. I'm looking at Ravel at square leg there. Did it go in the air or was it along the ground?
Well, it was
even with
aerial
my
initially.
even with
it
my
looks like it.
Specsavers glasses, the way that Ravel's reacting, it could be a drop. Let's have a look. Southey. It was turned away. Yes, it's going to be a drop catch. This. It's Ravel, who has to be one of the worst fielders in the New Zealand team, has put it down. Southey cannot believe it. It was it was a chance that you would expect to be taken at Test match level.
Yeah, it was both hands in the air, above the ground, off the ground.
And that was poor from Ravel. He showed himself to be no type of fielder at all in the first test.
It was.
But that was mainly ground fielding that he was being given.
Oh no, he put
for.
down one, put an easy one down in the first test, Jace, and his ground fielding was poor as well. Yeah, Root covers up and there's no run. Hendo's going to come in with the fact check. We're going to have a 3-man change, and good news is for Insomniacs, Hendo's coming back, and chasing Willow, and John. Harwood? Yeah, excellent. Harwood's going to be back. So we're just speculating about whether Ravel is possibly one of the worst fielders ever to play for New Zealand, and he did put down a catch in the last test, I believe, as well as appalling ground fielding. Southey bowls. Root still can't get off the mark. I don't think he's going to trouble the scorers whilst we're sitting on this chair. He's only got one more ball to go. Hendo, can you try and get Joe Root off the mark, because we're willing him to score a run, but they're not giving him anything to bat with it. They're not giving anything to play with at the moment. It's we're saying the England bowlers. Be interesting to see what Hendo has to say on this, but the New Zealand bowlers are putting the ball in the right areas, that's for sure. And Southey, where will Joe Root? What's he going to do with this one? There's a chance for him to get off the mark. He is away. He's going to get a single, and he's off the mark. He goes on to 1, so he's on 1. Burns is on 20. New Zealand putting the ball in the right areas, asking all the questions. Next person to ask the questions will be Hendo on ball by ball after this message from our sponsors.
Alternative cricket commentary, bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles, bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
We're back and we need your money. On my right, I have back. When was the last time you were in? Many moons ago.
Spring 2018.
2018. But that's 18 months, man. 20
Yes.
months. That's John Harwood.
Welcome.
And on my left, it is still
Ahoy, hoy. Hello.
Chasing
On debut.
Willow. On debut. And it's Henry bowling to Root, who goes on to the back foot in this beautiful light that you get in the early evening. I love that sort of light. Do you not love that light?
Oh, it is beautiful, but I think it's kind of it's treacherous.
Slightly
It's
overrated.
not the dew, the myth of the evening dew.
The evening dew? Dew?
Betty Boo.
Dew?
Betty Boo.
But look at that! Look at it!
Oh, it's gorgeous.
The long
Yeah.
shadows.
Yeah, and all the colors look pretty.
Henry,
Of course.
full. Oh, looking for the Yorker and turns.
Everything is
think if I called it
bathed in golden light.
Shadows.
It's turned to mid-wicket. Now, you may understand that it's been a long night, and you may observe that both Harwood and Chasers have glasses of wine. Yes, you observe correctly. They are absolutely bladdered.
It's a cheeky Sauvignon.
A cheeky Sauvignon.
Uh-huh.
But it gets to that point when you're doing overtime, which we are doing now. In comes Henry, 3 slips waiting, as Root gets right in behind that and pushes up to mid-off, and there is no run. Are there still people tweeting us?
Oh, well, there's obviously Ravi, and Ravi is saying, I think they're taking extra time
I think they are.
to make up overs. But
Yeah, well,
Root,
they did it this
as
morning.
Night Watchman has a nice ring to it. Captain, part-time bowler.
Captain Night Watchman, yes.
And specialist Night Watchman.
Specialist Night Watchman Joe Root is battling for his Test career here.
Oh, safe hands.
Here comes Henry, bowls, and he flicks this away off his legs, but straight to mid-wicket. There is Jeetan Raval, who we were just working out whether he possibly is one of the worst fielders this game has ever seen.
That's why he has number 1 on his back.
Why number 1? What, as in?
He's one of the worst fielders.
One of the worst fielders. Okay. It should have that in little writing underneath, shouldn't it?
It might do. Look at it closely.
Henry in again to Root. Root's in behind a good ball that forces him slightly onto the back foot, and he drops it back up the pitch to the bowler, who's now giving it to Kane Williamson at mid-off to do a bit of Shining. The Shining.
That's a good film, isn't it?
That's The Shining. Wouldn't that be a great film?
Have you seen Doctor Sleep yet?
Is that the sequel?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Was any good?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, right. Have you seen it?
Not my kind of cinema.
Oh, okay. In comes Henry again, and it's defended square into the covers, and there is no. What is your type of cinema?
My favorite movie ever is called Prospero's Books.
Oh, you mean? Did you hang on?
Prospero's Books.
I know people who walked out of Prospero's Books.
Well, they can suck dick. Several, if they would like.
This is Peter Greenaway, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think it has a really lovely, sort of mock, baroque soundtrack, which I really like. I like the inordinate amounts of nudity, because if you were a spirit, would you clothe yourself?
Oh no,
you're a spirit.
I didn't know that's what it was about.
They're spirits. There's a fuck ton of spirits. Most of the things that aren't Prospero or his family are spirits.
The next ball is turned into the onside as we go from Prospero's Books to cricket, and they pick up a single. Burns runs to the far end. Southey's starting his 8th over. He's bowled all the way through already, hasn't he? And it's 31 for 2 England after New Zealand finished on 375 all out. Wickets went quite quickly in the end, didn't they, towards the end of that New Zealand innings?
They tumbled.
They did tumble. Peter Greenaway.
I don't like his other stuff quite as much. I like this one.
Do you like as Southey bowls? Oh, a little bit of early swing there.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
You do?
The cook, the wife.
No, I wasn't going to say that. His thief and his lover, or something along those lines.
Something.
That's basically Helen Mirren, isn't it? Getting her kit off.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
That's a happy thought.
Well, it was then.
I think it is kind of still. I've seen her in a bathing suit. She's lovely.
Take your word for it. But Michael Nyman's music drives me insane.
It's not always good. It's good in that particular.
That's minimal. No, I like minimalist music. Onto the back foot goes Root, defends. But there's something about Michael Nyman's music with all those strings.
The Prospero's Books is very. It's not minimalist. It's mock baroque. It's not going to be. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. I'm trying to think of other Peter Greenaway films.
I can't think of any.
No.
Sorry.
What were his other films?
There's a bunch of them. I don't like them.
Oh, really? So Prospero's Books is the only one that you really go for? Okay.
I don't need to.
Tweet us in with some
other Peter Greenaway.
There's only Ravi who is serenading Harwood.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
This is a lovely shot from Root. Flicked that away through mid-wicket, and despite a field racing round from deep square leg, and then putting in a sprawling dive. One of these. Ooh.
And he's saying, "Hello, it's Harwood the Wake."
It is.
Huzzah.
It is. He's back.
Hello there.
Hello.
Ravi's effervescent.
Is he?
You have a fan.
Harwood does.
Yeah.
Otherwise, me and Ravi just argue about politics all the time these days. Defended on the front foot by Root up towards mid-on, and
you
there is no
argue
run.
about politics.
Let's not go there.
No, probably not. Yeah, in a friendly way, I'd like to think.
My favourite film is Jaws.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Normally, when we start this sort of thing, we just get bombarded by tweets saying my favourite film is this and my favourite film
very,
is
very late.
It is very, very late.
Hang on, and why Chasing Willow?
Because of sharks. Because I spent a
No,
lot.
because it's Moby Dick.
No, I spent a chunk of my life diving.
Chunk.
I love sharks.
Yes,
operative
but
word.
that said shark conservation.
Outside the off stump, left alone by batsman Root, and that is the end of the over.
Back
So-
a million years. That is hugely harmful.
When
do you know Jess Cramp?
Who?
No.
Obviously not.
Chest clap?
Jess Cramp.
The what now?
Who is Jess?
She's a shark conservationist.
Oh no, I don't know. No.
That is quite the name.
So, your interest in sharks is one of caring for them,
Well, they're
or being terrified when you go into the sea.
no, they're lovely. A lot
right.
of them are lovely.
Apart from the
I
big
think
ones with
I
really
think I
big
think
teeth.
I think
They're-
I think
they're
I think
very
I like about Jaws
important.
is the fact that you find out that they ate everyone on the USS Indianapolis, and that's brilliant, and I think it's cool. And
Jaws is a good film. I'm not sure about Jaws 2, 3 and 4.
no, they're rubbish. Absolute bollocks.
Change of bowling, by the way. It's going to be Neil Wagner who's going to bowl his first over. The first change I think we've seen in this England innings. They are 35 for 2 after 15 overs, and it's going to be this man, if you can locate him.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss. And when he takes 5 wickets in an over, it was murder.
Well, it could well be murder, and England could ill afford murder at this point.
Wagner.
Wagner is going to bowl. And he's going to be bowling to Rory Burns, who's on 21 from 41 deliveries. He's got a slip, a first slip, a gully, a leg slip, and a forward short leg. So I think we got an idea where the attack's going to be going, which is straight away down the leg side. And Burns is well inside the line of the ball, and there's no real problem for him there.
Stella Rossa is telling us that he's still here.
Hello.
Ravi comes back to say that it's not Ravel, it's not Revel, it's Jaith Raval.
Raval. I said Raval. I think that someone else made a call him Ravel at some point. Anyway,
It could have been me. I don't
maybe.
know.
Flicked away between the men, close to the wicket on the leg side. It goes down to long leg, and they take a single. Burns goes to 22. Root has 5. England are 36 for 2.
Des is asking, how did Sibley look for his 4?
Not very good, I didn't think. What did you think, John?
Average.
I'm not convinced by him at all, I have to say, in what I've seen of him so far. I know you've got to give time to these guys.
But he also got...
Well, I think he's already got sussed quite quickly.
He got hit in the...
Head.
Yeah. Which might not have been very helpful to his performance.
No, that's a fair point, actually. He did. He got hit right on the
he
forehead.
got thwonked, yeah.
Yeah, he
got sconed.
Got sconed.
Or
not sconed.
Sconed. Or
And
sconed. Who knows?
I don't think he got a run after that, actually, did he? I think he was out before he added to his score. Wagner, left arm over, short into the body of Root, who was discomforted by that. Kept his hands low and managed in the end to just jab it away to leg slip. But he didn't look in control of that, did he?
I don't know. I think.
Or do you think it just didn't get up as much as he expected?
Yeah, I think that was okay.
Well, we don't want to see any repeat of the.
I don't think Root minds that. He can fend that shit all day.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Dr. Cooper is trotting out. Go on.
After this ball, Wagner again, back of a length. That was more comfortably defended, in my opinion, by Root, square on the offside.
Dr. Cooper is trotting out a cavalcade, an entire conga line of prestige cinema.
Oh, really?
In a Lawrence of Arabia, or Citizen Kane, or Beckett, or A Man for All Seasons, or Ben-Hur. One of them.
The new Ben-Hur got absolutely
Just
slated,
covering-
didn't it?
Is there a new Ben-Hur?
There is a new Ben-Hur,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
or relatively new.
But why?
Has it got
Short
Zac Efron in
down
it?
the leg side.
Ugh.
And there is no run as it goes through the keeper. I don't know who was in the new one. I remember being taken by my dad to the old one many times and being bored shitless each time.
What? Hang on.
How many times did you take it?
Well, you know, when I was young, we used to go and see the same film quite a lot.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea. I wouldn't watch a film twice now unless I'd completely forgotten about it.
Or you go to the cinema twice.
I don't know. Onto the back foot goes Root, defends into the covers.
It's 3.5 hours long.
I know, and that's why I was bored.
You spent a day of your life.
I know.
Probably.
I know. I saw the Jungle Book, the original Jungle Book, 13 times. I know. It makes no sense. And I saw It's a Mad World.
No, you are the king of
about
swingers.
12 times. I am.
VIP.
Absolutely.
You've reached the
What
top.
can I say? Well, no, I haven't actually.
You got to stop.
Well, I'm not going any further.
That's bothering you, isn't it?
A little bit. 36 for 2. Root has 5. Burns
Wanna
has
be
22.
a man child, baby.
I love that song.
Town.
Oh, now he does bowl. Daryl Mitchell is going to bowl. He is going to take over from Matt Henry.
And Ravi is taking comfort in the fact that you argue about politics, but we need to get rid of Tories, and that's good enough.
We do agree with that. We do
and they
certainly
are
agree.
vile, yes.
Absolutely, we totally agree on that one. So it is Daryl Mitchell.
I'm not sure he's got a jingle.
He must have, because he was batting earlier.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He
He
has
definitely
61
does.
wickets in his first-class career. He's got quite an interesting run-up. He's nothing more than medium pace. Outside the off-stump, left alone by the left-handed Burns.
I'm of an old black funny and peep show. Wrote that book, oh, Daryl, not David Mitchell.
That's right. I said he was a son of somebody earlier in the green room. He's the son of the All Blacks and England defence coach. John Mitchell, was it?
Dave, Mike,
I think it was John.
Henry,
actually.
John.
I think it's John. He's in, bowls across the left-handed Burns, who leaves it alone, and Watling juggles with it a little bit. He's got a very funny action, hasn't he?
Mr. Mitchell's son.
He sort of jumps a little bit on the spot, and then a number of very quick but short paces, and then here he comes.
Perfectly orthodox delivery stride.
But look, I mean, what's a bit of dressage?
Well, hang on. Whoa.
Bit of very bad dressage, I have to say.
He's a Kiwi Ben Stokes.
Oh, do you think so?
Well, he's a
bit stockier and chunkier, isn't he?
Well, but
this is left alone again outside the off stump.
But his dad is about rugby.
Oh, but rugby union as opposed to rugby league.
Yeah, his dad's all about the rugby.
All about the rugby.
And he's all about the cricket.
I think he runs in like a man who's not sure whether that's his bus.
Ah, right, okay, yes. That's a good idea, actually, yes. Is that the number 33? Or is that the number 88?
He's not 75.
Oh, yes, that's true. Good point. 2 slips in the gully, a man at short extra. Those are the close fielders. He's in. That's a better balls. But it's well met by Rory Burns, who hurries through for the single. Kane Williamson went round very quickly to his right and then side-armed it at the wicket, but Burns was home.
Where does the 75 go?
I don't know.
And Des is saying that we've been through this with Tom Wesley. You need to play on both sides of the wicket.
Yeah, I actually think Tom Wesley looks slightly better than Dominic Sibley, I have to say. And I don't know, I think he's got to think about his technique, really, I do. Unless he's just going to turn into one of those great players like Steve Smith. Despite having a strange technique. He might do, but he's not showing it at the moment. Anyway, Mitchell has the ball back as a Mitchell has the ball back in his hands, and he's coming into Root on 5. Here he comes. He's just hopped on to the number 88, and it's defended by Root up to mid-on, and there is no run. And we have. Well, funnily enough, you should say that, Knackle. He comes in with a piece of paper and he says, Daryl Mitchell, is he New Zealand's Stuart Thompson? And that's what I was thinking of that as well. He's dark, like Stuart Thompson of Ireland, and he's about the same size. And so I think, yes, there is a definite comparison there. Anyway, here he comes again. Well, we've got a short mid-wicket now for Root. He's in, and Root just brushes this almost off the stumps down to a gully, and that is the end of the over. Just a single from it, 37 for 2.
Mark Zip is giving me a little bit of good-natured ribbing.
Is he?
About my perverse movie choices, but I'm being welcomed, and He's bowing out, saying
bowing
that's pretty
out.
much it for me. Thanks as always for your efforts.
Zip, what's the matter with you? Hang on in there.
Oh.
Only another couple of overs to go. What
Well,
time is it
maybe
in
he
New
has
York?
a weekend plan.
Well, he's probably opening.
Oh,
He's a record. He does these record fairs.
Record. Oh,
He's
okay.
in
Have you ever
Woodstock.
covered Kilimanjaro by Teardrop Explodes?
I don't know. It's a good question. Are you?
Sean Barry is also not particularly original in saying Casablanca. Casablanca I've seen on the plane, and I'm.
Come back to that. Hold that thought. Wagner
And that's
bowls down the left
exactly
side.
what I'm doing.
And it's taken by Watling skipping across to his right. Go on.
I remember seeing a chunk of it on the plane, and it was awful. I'm like, why are these people still talking? They're just standing around talking about jack shit.
I don't think
about jack diddly squat.
I don't
There's
think I've ever
nothing to
seen-
talk about.
I don't think I've ever seen Casablanca actually all the way through.
Well, that's because it's not very interesting.
It's
That may
not
be
that
it.
good.
What about Brief
Forgive
Encounter?
me, it's not that good.
Wagner in. Oh, now he offers this one up outside off stump, and it's rather mistimed by
Look.
Burns as he comes forward.
There's a reason they made LA Confidential, and that was to mean that you didn't have to watch those other films before it.
LA Confidential. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. The trouble is now I see films and I forget about them within 2 days, and if that.
What film did you see last?
Can't remember.
2 days ago.
Can't remember.
What about yesterday?
Can't remember.
Oh, only one day now. It was creeping
I watched
on.
a terrible film the other night on Sky called The Farm.
Oh,
Wagner round the wicket now to bowl to
Ooh.
Burns, who defends to mid wicket. It was
That was kind of spicy.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a. It was a sort of satire on people eating meat. So basically, what happened is this couple turned up at a diner, and then they were kidnapped and put on this farm, and they were stuck in cages, and they were going to be eaten by the other. They were going to be minced.
Oh yeah.
Is it wrong to notice that Wagner has baby titties? It's kind of interesting.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Flicked away. Nicely timed by Burns between the two close fielders. There are two men out, and in fact, good fielding by Raval. We've been mocking him, but he did well there, and they only get through for the single, 38 for 2.
And also no nipples, unlike Tim Southey.
Whose nipples did we notice the other night? Someone had quite prominent
Tim
nipples.
Tim Southey, I think.
Is it Tim Southey?
I think it's Tim Southey.
Okay.
Who's always smuggling.
Okay. I think the film I've enjoyed the most recently was it wasn't a great film, but it was scary. It was The Aeronauts. Anyway, here's Wagner bowls across route, left alone outside the off stump.
I went to see a good film.
what's that? What?
Judy and Punch.
Judy and Punch?
Judy and Punch.
What's that?
It's an Australian film.
Yeah.
But it's not about Australians. It's about Punch and Judy. But it is really good. It's really good.
Judy and Punch?
Yeah.
It's called Judy and Punch, not
It's
Punch
called
and Judy.
No, it's called Judy and
But it has no relation to the TD punch.
Or the puppet thing.
Oh no, it's all about the puppet thing.
Oh, is it? But is it
Yeah.
horror?
Well, it's weird. It's hard
I can
to
imagine.
describe.
I can
it's
imagine.
like a sort of reimagining.
Oh,
of that,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Where did you see that?
In the cinema.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard of it.
Oh, it's good. I recommend it.
Wagner then round the wicket to root, and he bowls it short. He pulls and gets that away between the two close fielders down to long leg. In comes Mutchell, and they take a single.
Ian Shaw is asking the right questions. He
Yeah.
says, "Is Ben Stokes not a Kiwi Ben Stokes?"
Well,
He
was
is a bit
born.
Kiwi,
he
yes.
was born in New Zealand, and he moved to England, I think, when he was 11, because his dad got a
But
job as
isn't
a
his
coach.
father a Kiwi?
Yeah, but he got a job as a rugby league coach in Britain.
That's what I meant when I said he was a Kiwi Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the end of the day.
Oh,
it's all over. It's all over. You can all go to bed.
Yeah.
So what happened today? New Zealand went on and made 375. There was a couple of good knocks from BJ Watling and from Daryl Mitchell, but England roared back, and some good bowling by Stuart Broad and Chris Wokes, and even Sammy Curran at the end brought that innings to a close quite quickly. And
Okay.
England then batted, and at the end of the day were 38 for 2.
Okay, we have Sophie Cox in a place that I love,
Where's that?
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
KL.
KL is lovely.
Is it?
It's fairly polluted, but it's
I
otherwise
would imagine
lovely,
it would be. Yeah.
Not as much as Johor Bahru. JB is rough.
Where's that?
KL is nicer. Johor Bahru is right over the causeway from Singapore.
Oh right, okay.
Causeway.
So from Kuala Lumpur, what does she say?
And she says bombarded by cricket here in Kuala Lumpur. New Zealand versus England on TV. Gorillas on my phone. US versus Pakistan on the laptop. We may need more devices.
You may indeed.
Yeah.
You may indeed.
P.S. My vote for the best film goes to a good call. Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that is a good film. It is a good film.
It is a good one,
Very
yeah.
good film.
Ravi.
It has segments in it. It has acts.
Yeah.
It's got Morgan, hasn't it? It's got Morgan. I mean,
yeah, but it's really well spaced.
Nobody else feels a little weird that he married his granddaughter.
Who did? Morgan Freeman?
Yeah. God in every movie.
You're not allowed to do that.
She's a step granddaughter, but that's still.
Do you mean really in real life? Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Anyway, well, we should finish now because we're all tired. We've had a lot to
that
drink.
Bombshell.
We've had a lot to drink. You discovered something about Morgan Freeman that you didn't know. England trail by 336 runs. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow night there will be a cast of not so many. I will be back. Chasers, will you be back tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Chasers will be back. And hopefully she's going to cook more rice with chili. Hopefully.
I will cook other things too. If I can scare up a blender, I might make frozen mojitos.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll look
I
forward
think
to that.
there is rum.
There is rum.
There is rum. I can get some lime and some mint.
Of rum. There's loads of rum. There's always rum here.
I can get some lime and some mint. I do not want to drag what's his nuts soda water from the store because it's heavy.
Yeah.
But if somebody does that for me, I will be forever grateful.
Water. Okay, maybe I can bring soda water.
Mark Zip is saying that Casablanca still holds up if you pay attention.
Sorry, go on one more.
Yeah.
Any more? Is that it for tweets?
No, there's more.
All right, read the final tweets and then we shall be off.
Things are getting out of hand according to Grimmers.
Grimmers!
Pull yourselves together.
Grimmers!
Any American right after Thanksgiving should appreciate England. There is nothing quite like a turkey.
Grimmers, good to hear from you.
Yeah. And Mark Zip's sister watched Casablanca all the way through and said, that's a good movie. I had no idea.
You might like... Mark Zip's sister has written a brilliant book about Indonesia. Have you been to Indonesia?
Not yet.
Okay. But you should read it, and it's in Waterstones at the moment. It's called... Remind me what it's called, I've forgotten. Maybe it just be called Indonesia, but it's good.
And Ravi is saying Metropolis, Sahil Bibi or Gulam, excuse me. The story of Chu.
Don't know that one.
I like films with stories. Well, good for you, Ravi.
Yeah, I think we all like films
I'm
with
not going to
stories.
tell you to suck dick.
No, preferably
I'm not going to tell you to suck dick.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for the
Don't
night.
just suck any more dick.
England trail on first innings by 336. They came back well after a really difficult first 3 hours of the day and bowled out New Zealand. But until tomorrow, when I will be back, Chasers will be back. Can't remember who else is in, but join us anyway. Until good night. Tomorrow. It's good night from Chasers.
Bye.
Or good morning. It's goodbye from Harwood.
Hello.
Hello again. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Guerrilla crickets. Whoa. Guerrilla crickets. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing
emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even